would it surprise you to know that 0%, none of them, not a single one, has resulted in a conviction because ICE and DHS are so incompetent at their jobs that they can't even arrest a single obstructor?
Or is he
If
resisting
he's
arrest
holding
is the
onto a
question.
jacket and we had to pull her off, there's resistance there. Matter of fact, the meaning of resistance is refusal to accept or comply with something, the attempt to prevent something by action or argument. My name is Marte Reyes, and I am the host, one and only host and producer of On the Edge, and also the host of Oak Autopsy with me and co-host Cool Vic. Also, you can find me as Mighty Marte on Twitter and also the Real Mighty Mouse on Instagram. Stay tuned. I got more debates. Usually I don't have these tech problems. It's only in Discord. Just going to say that real quick. But thank you for having me on the panel. And thanks, Whick, for meeting me for this competent conflict. So that's all.
Awesome, man. Appreciate it. And then Wick, go ahead. Let people know where to find
Sure.
you and what you talk about.
Whick, you can find me on YouTube and Twitch, Whick TV. Not Twitch tonight because Tomfoolery's banned, unfortunately. But yeah, find me on YouTube. I do debates, I do conversations, I do all sorts of things. That's me.
All right. Appreciate it. Okay. So we're going to do opening statements. The question is Trump's ICE a net benefit for America or a net negative for America? So we're going to let Wick go first with why ICE under Trump is a net negative. Wick, up to 4 minutes, please, sir.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for being here, Marte. Thank you for hosting Tomfoolery. One of the bedrock principles of America is a belief in due process. When we rebelled against England, one of the driving factors behind that was the Crown's abuse of Americans through the courts and denying us proper due process. In order to ensure this would never happen again, we built protections into the Constitution to protect everyone in America from similar abuses. Today, under Trump, ICE is violating people's constitutionally protected rights, not only those of immigrants, but also those of citizens. People are being detained wrongfully, released after being apprehended for exercising their First Amendment protected rights to record ICE agents and report on their whereabouts and activities. They also are violating the Fourth Amendment, with whistleblower reports indicating that ICE leadership officials are instructing their officers to break into homes without a judicial warrant. These protections are fundamental to America. Without them, we are all worse off. When ICE violates them and nothing is done, we are all at risk. My rights are more important than people's fears of immigrants, and no amount of deportations are worth the erosion of our American liberties or civil values. The liberties and values that we have made us the greatest nation on earth today. I do not wish to live in a world where the DHS can subpoena my Google email records and send FBI agents to my house when I criticize Trump and his policies. Unless you think I am being hyperbolic or fear-mongering, this has happened and continues to happen as a matter of policy under the Trump administration. A gentleman wrote an email to a judge asking for mercy for an asylum seeker, and not 5 hours later, the feds were combing his emails and sending agents to his door. This is to say nothing of the economic issues being caused, nor the continuing decline of trust in our institutions, made significantly worse because DHS is lying to the public and to the courts constantly. DHS and ICE under Trump has made us all worse off. Our civil liberties are under threat in a way that I have not seen before in my lifetime. They are not enforcing the law, they are breaking it. So I say, on behalf of America, its values, and its people, fuck ICE.
All right. Thank you, Wick. And then Marte, opening statement, please, sir. Why Trump is a net positive for America? You have 4 minutes.
I thought the prompt was ICE under Trump was a net negative. That's what the prompt was, right?
Yes, correct. Or why
You
it
had
is
said
not a
Trump-
net negative, I guess.
You said Trump was a net positive for America.
Sorry,
Just clearing
ICE
that
under
up.
Trump.
Okay, I didn't hear that part. Okay, I just wanted to
Okay.
make sure that there's clarity here before we proceed. So, ladies and gentlemen, wake up and smash the outright lie that ICE under Trump is a net negative. It's the iron-fisted savior of America crafted after the gutless, border-bleeding disasters of Obama and Biden. Trump didn't babysit invaders. He obliterated threats, exploding arrests to a blistering 393,000 to 595,000 in his second terms first year alone, pulverizing Biden's laughable dribble by quadrupling daily takedowns. That's brutal. What my opponent here is talking about is painting us like the Escapo, saying that emails are going to be looked at. There's going to be no ultimate transparency to the point to where it's overcorrection. That's not what even the debate is about. Literally talking about immigration, customs enforcement. He's going to some overarching principle that there's some secret state, whatever he's alluding to. That's not what the debate's about. Back to this. While Biden straight up betrayed us, gutting criminal deportations by 74% and arrests by 66%, as his open border nightmare unleashed 8 million illegal floods. Yes, floods. Trump hammered home 675,000 deportations plus 2.2 million cowardly self exiles in year one, crushing border apprehensions to rock bottom lows, proving raw power saves American lives, lock down streets, and crushes the anarchy spineless cowards like they begged for. The net positive, you'd say, Wick, a fortified, unbreakable America. In America, Wick, here will tell you to go defend while he sits comfortably on his lazy boy. Wick will also tell you, fuck ICE in his opening statement. But hold on, are we defending these PDF aisles that ICE had came over to take out of the country? Apparently, that's what he's doing. He would rather have these people and criminals in the country than ICE deport them and get them out because police don't have the jurisdiction and they can't do it themselves. Anyways, I'm anxious to get forward into this argument and see what his arguments are because I'm anxious to get into this whole debate. Let's continue to proceed. I end there.
All right, appreciate it. All right, so Wick, why do you disagree with what it is that he just said?
So I guess you can cite all the deportation numbers you'd like, and Trump could deport millions of people. That does not matter if, in the process of doing it, he makes everything worse. If our First Amendment rights and our Fourth Amendment rights and our Eighth Amendment rights are eroded in the process of getting rid of illegal immigrants, then I think that we are worse off because we can deport whoever we like, but those erosions will always remain. We live in a system where precedent governs how we do things. And when you set precedent that the executive by fiat can simply ignore the courts and also override the Constitution that we have in place, the Bill of Rights to protect us from the government, it puts us all in danger. I don't I'm not here saying don't deport anyone. I'm not here defending illegal immigrants. I'm defending your rights, my rights, everyone's rights. Deport all the illegals that you want, and you can. You just have to do it properly. And Trump is not.
Yeah, you made a lot of assertions, empty assertions. You're saying, just trust me, bro, is not a source.
I
I'm
have
not going to
plenty
buy
of
that.
examples for each.
Yeah, we can go into that. And I'm anxious to actually dive into these examples
Okay.
that you have. I'm just going to say this. Isn't it embarrassing that you call real enforcement negative while ignoring that Trump's ICE quadrupled daily arrests? These are criminals that we're talking about, which go in conjunction with the deportations that we have. Hunted criminals in communities, which this is more targeted than the last two administrations that we've had, and made America safer. While your side let predators walk free, that's crazy. How do you reconcile this?
So one of the things that Trump's ICE is doing is that it's allowing people, pedophiles, thieves, and things, instead of going to jail, or if they are in jail, they will release them from jail early and they'll deport them. Okay. Do you support pedophiles being released from jail before they have served their sentence?
I support anybody being deported if that's the ultimate action that's
So
going to
you would
happen.
let a pedophile
If they
out of
weren't
jail
documented, I support
early
the
after they've
deportation
served,
of these people.
say a year in jail. ICE comes, says, hey, this guy's here in the country illegally. We need to deport him. So they take him out of jail. They put him on a plane. They send him to his home country and they just let
Yeah,
him free. You'd support
their
that?
problem, not ours.
That is wild to me. I want pedophiles to serve their time in
No,
jail, all of it. I
no,
don't want
because
them released early.
You want them to siphon our tax dollars in jail and us to house and shelter them and control and custody when they could do that in their own damn country? No, we're actually getting rid of the problem and not babysitting it. I think that's a more viable solution and better for the country. These are your tax dollars, right? The longer they stay, the more we have to pay for. Do you understand how long and how much it takes to house a inmate in a prison?
I think that the costs are worth it to keep pedophiles off the streets.
$32,000 a year is worth it when we can get rid of the problem altogether, thus saving taxpayers thousands of dollars and also reducing
I'm not a
increasing officer safety because that's one less person that's going to grape somebody on the yard. That's also
okay,
this too.
but
Yes.
it's one more person who'll be on the streets of their home country preying on children there. I
You
don't
mean,
want to release pedophiles anywhere. I would like them to
hold
be
on.
in jail
Wick,
for as long as we can keep them there. And it's
this
weird
logic
to me
makes no
that you're
sense.
arguing to release
This
pedophiles early.
well,
That's a weird argument.
does every PDF aisle have a release date?
Some are in there for life, I'm assuming.
Most of them aren't in there for life unless they murdered somebody. So that's
Sure.
the case in point. Matter of fact, every PDF aisle that you have has a release date. And matter of fact, in America, it's like 7 years is the average, which means they're going to be released in 7 years after using all of our tax money and everything else, only to be deported. The end result that I alluded to, only we're going to save money and do the same thing we would have did in the interim in the end, anyways. Your
When
example doesn't
we
make any
charge
sense.
someone with a crime and we serve them a sentence and it behooves us to force them to serve their entire sentence. I don't want them released early. Even if it's not into American streets, I want to protect the kids in uh
It's not
Guatemala. I
release.
want to protect the
It's
kids in Venezuela. I want to
it's
protect the kids in
extraditing
Uganda.
criminal.
I don't
It's
want
a
pedophiles
extraditing a
on their
criminal.
streets, and I
So
don't
here's
want
the
to
thing.
release them early. But
We've
this is
done this.
almost beside the point. And I just
No, it's
it
not.
boggled my mind. If I may finish just real quick, it boggled my mind that you're arguing for releasing pedophiles before they've served their time. That's an argument you can make. But I, are you okay with ICE agents breaking into homes without judicial warrants?
Yeah, that's another empty assumption you're making right now. While there may be stark coincidences and stark cases that this happened, it's not the overwhelming case. Matter of fact, in Obama's administration, we have 56 deaths, more than Trump's ever had at ICE's hand. Now, let's get back to the
Well, no, that's not
extradite
true.
of criminals.
Uh,
It is
the
true.
2025, there were, I believe, 73 deaths in ICE custody. That is the most that they've ever had. And that's 2025 under
So,
Trump.
okay, we can cite this, but 37 of them were justified automatically, and the others were questionable. We can say that. But if you're citing justified deaths, that doesn't move the needle in this argument. Let's get back to extraditing
Hold on,
criminals.
no, I'm
Now,
correcting something that you said, where you said that
okay,
56 people
I can
died under
accept that.
ICE under Obama.
There are
I'm just showing you how you're
there
wrong.
are
That's
lawful
incorrect.
deaths that happen when we're chasing criminals. Now, if Trump is doing a really good job and we're apprehending criminals, don't you think in the arrest there's going to be a rise of prominent deaths that happen that are justified? Right. You omit the chat. Matter of fact, if you pay attention to this, notice how he omits the fact that 37 of these deaths were definitely justified. The other parts of the deaths we can say are questionable, but definitely justified. And all these officers were cleared after these investigations. So now that that's debunked and we can move on for that, we can
No,
talk
we
about
can't move
extraditing
on
criminals
because
from
this
the
is
nation.
important. When you say that these ICE agents aren't being held accountable, that they're being let off, that's
They
part of the
are being held
problem.
accountable.
One of the issues that we're having and that I have with ICE and that goes to my argument of why everything's worse right now because of ICE is that these officers are not being held accountable for their bad actions. I'll give you one example, right?
Yeah, I'd
In
love to
the
hear it. You've said all this
Yep.
and no
Well, let me
example
give you the
yet.
example, and I can give it
Go
to you.
ahead. Go ahead.
Under
I'd love to hear
Chicago,
it.
when during the Midway Blitz, when Trump sent all those ICE officers to Chicago, much like they have in Minneapolis, they shot a woman 5 times. Okay, uh, the guy who did it, right? They said that she rammed their car into them, and so they charged her. She survived, thankfully, and they charged her, right, with endangering the lives of ICE agents and things like that. Turns out, though, when the body cam footage was released, that ICE had lied, that DHS had lied. So they had to drop the case. And then the officer who did it, the officer who lied, the officer who rammed her and then shot her 5 times and then texted it after that 5 bullets, 7 holes. Put that one in your books, boys. He is still serving on the force. Nothing happened to him.
So,
So
Wick, I'll
how
ask
can
you a
we trust
question.
an organization that doesn't
Okay.
hold its agents who violate the law
Okay.
accountable?
Wick, can I ask you a question? What does the prompt say? What's the prompt for this debate? Just want
The
to
prompt
ask.
is Trump under ICE under Trump, sorry. ICE under Trump is a net negative for America. Net positive. I'm taking the net
Oh,
negative
okay.
position
Hold
for
on real
America.
quick.
Mhm.
So, if we're talking about a net negative, it's okay to point out one case example, maybe even a few anecdotes or things like this, but we're talking about totality. In
Yes,
totality, no. Even if you point out one
this is a
case
pattern of
where somebody,
behavior.
hold on real quick. Just pointing out one doesn't exhibit a whole totality of ICE bad or negative. Matter of fact, this would even be a worse debate if I even said this for Biden or Obama. We wouldn't say it's a net negative. That's an asinine statement to make because ICE is just a tool at the behest of somebody who's head part of the administration. I don't even think that I can even argue that's it's a net negative under Obama or Biden. Matter of fact, I think that's they've done more positive than not positive. Even under both administrations, I'll even concede that. So I
Do you
don't
think that the
I
do you
don't see
think
how
that
you
the
could say
Well,
it's
let
a
me
policies
net
let me
negative
ask you a
even under
question real
Trump.
quick. Let me ask you a question real quick, Marte.
Okay.
If he was to make the case that it was a net negative, how would he do that then?
He would have to say that not only this, but there's some collusion, meaning like some overarching premise, and then show me numbers. Like there's two ways we can go about this. He can show me numbers saying that there are probably there's more damage happening as a result of ICE and deportations than arrests and maybe the lawful pursuit of their duties ending in succession of maybe some success that they've had. He'd have to demonstrate that somehow. You see how
So if there is a
improbable this
pattern of
prompt is for him to
behavior,
win?
just real quick, there's a pattern. My argument, and I think that there's plenty of data for this. We can go through it. Is that ICE as policy has a exhibited a pattern of behavior where they violate people's constitutional rights. They lose their court cases. Remember, in the Midway Blitz, the conviction rate they have. Well, let me just ask you, what do you think the amount of people who in Chicago were arrested for like obstructing ICE or something like that? They made about 32. They made a bunch of arrests, but they made 32 cases went to court. How many of those do you think resulted in a conviction? Just give me a guess.
So you're talking about the arrests that have
Yeah, they
happened
arrested a
underneath.
guy who they accused of there's various crimes right here, but most of them were like obstructing ICE. Like they were getting in the way of the ICE, they were threatening ICE officers, they were resisting arrest, things like that. There's 32 cases that went to court. How many resulted in conviction? What would you guess? Just to let you know, the federal
Well,
overall rate
I
for
can
these
answer
things is
that.
about 90% conviction rates.
I can answer that. So if we have an active investigation such as like Operation Metro Surge, where a woman drove all the way from Missouri down to here for some reason, which is odd enough to park her car in the middle of a
I'm
street and
asking
do
you
all
for
this.
what your guess is on a conviction rate. They've taken 32 cases to court in Operation Midway Blitz. How many of them
So
resulted in a conviction so far?
I would say a high number of conviction because when HSI does
Okay.
anything as
Would it
far as like a
surprise you to
conviction,
know
we have
that
to have a
the
solid
current
case to even
conviction rate in those
it has to be open
cases
and shut.
is 0%? Would it surprise you to know that DHS in the cases that they have brought in Midway Blitz that have finished, about 16 out of the 32 have finished? Would it surprise you to know that 0%, none of them, not a single one, has resulted in a conviction because ICE and DHS are so incompetent at their jobs that they can't even arrest a single obstructor and get
So
their conviction?
hold on.
Do you
That's a
think that that is
fallacy. Actually,
good overall for the justice
that's a
system in
fallacy.
America?
Do you understand that? Do you understand that sometimes it's really not worth the paperwork? And I can break this down to you. So if I've ever busted somebody on the street when I was in law enforcement, and the crime was like less than $100, we just let them go because it's not even worth the paperwork. It's not worth the time.
I'm
It's
not
not worth the
talking about
court
them
fees or any of this
being
other
let
stuff.
go. I'm not talking about the ones that they let go. I'm talking the ones that they bring up to the court
That's
in
not.
charges and
Hold on,
press
hold on, hold
charges that
on,
the
hold on.
prosecutors bring to trial.
Doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. even if we do
Why is
stop
this
somebody and we
irrelevant?
apprehend them,
Because my
it has
argument
to be a
here
deterrent to some degree by stopping them and showing the public as a show of force to say, hey, we can't allow that here. Even if we demonstrate that, even if there's no conviction, it's good to stop somebody, move them out of the way so we can proceed with an investigation. In fact, if we're there during Operation Metro Surge and getting somebody who violated a 14-year-old, why would anybody impede that and stop that? Oh, yeah, that's right, because you guys are obstructionists,
well, the
not
problem is
protesters. Let's get
DHS
the facts
is
straight on that.
lying about all of these things. DHS has a pattern of lying not only to the American public, but to
You
the
haven't
court.
shown a
And the
pattern. You
evidence,
showed one
one
case
of the
study,
evidence
one case
is I have
result.
of this, and I have many, is that they have a 0% conviction rate in Midway Blitz. Do you know why? It's because the cases
If
either get thrown out or they are
if we
found to have lied
if
during
we
their
if we have a
prosecution.
0% conviction rate for people who are legal citizens, that doesn't move the
I'm not
argument in
talking
your
about just
favor, because
citizens
we're
here.
talking about ICE's purpose is to get illegal citizens off the streets and have conviction rates for illegal citizens. I don't care about legal stuff. What we're doing is a stopgap. If we take them off the street temporarily and don't convict them, I don't even care, because that doesn't even make your case. We're talking about their purpose is for getting illegal citizens and even criminals off the street. Are they not doing that?
They're not doing it properly.
They are
They are
doing it.
violating people's
They're doing it.
constitutional rights
Yes.
when they do that.
So your argument is I'm going to bring up legal citizens, which has nothing to do with ICE's purpose at all,
If
to say that, hey, they're not doing
That's
their
a
job.
great
That's not their
point.
job.
That's a great point.
That's
I
not their
shouldn't
job,
be
Whick.
detaining these legal citizens, should they? And yet they are. And yet in
Yeah.
Trump's second
If
term
you
in 2025, they have wrongfully arrested, and these are just the ones deemed wrongful, wrongfully arrested or detained over 170 American citizens. That is far too much.
Yeah, sure. You'll see even one is far too many, but I think it's good if you can remove the temporary obstruction off the street so we can continue our investigation after the real criminals and real illegal immigrants. I think it's a stopgap
What
solution, and I
criminals?
support it
The only
100%.
look under Trump, the amount of ICE arrests involving violent criminals is only 14%. The rest that
You
they're
mean
arresting,
Trump's
86% of
administration
them
that barely
have
just got
no
off the ground with
accused or
ICE?
convicted of a violent crime.
How long has Trump
86%.
been in office in this administration as opposed to Biden's last in totality?
What does that have to
Right.
do
So we're
with
just
my
starting
point?
again. So we haven't seen the end result of his deportations and criminal arrest, right?
We don't need to
Correct.
see the end result to know that what they are
Oh, so you're
currently
only
doing
going
and
to
what they have
get
done
4
so
months
far
worth of
is
data and say that's a
bad.
totality? So 4 months worth of data is just the whole totality of
It's
everything
not
he's
just
ever
4 months of
done.
worth of data. We've had a year's worth of data at this point.
Oh, hold on. I'm just saying this right now. So you're only going to get this amount of data and compare it to the whole administration term of the president before us.
I'm comparing ICE's
Well,
actions with
that's
what they are
crazy.
legally allowed to do, and they are breaking the law, sir. My, again, argument is that they are eroding our civil liberties by
You're saying,
violating our
hold on.
First Amendment rights and Fourth Amendment rights, and that is making America a worse place overall, not just
So,
for immigrants, but for
all right,
everyone. That is the thrust of my argument, sir.
let's kind of slow this down a bit real quick, because you
I'll
cite
go as
one
slow as you need.
case where you cite one case where a person says he shot somebody, body cam proved this wrong, and then you're citing that there's a pattern when you cite one incident where we can go down the other incidents, but in totality as a net negative. Right now, you have yet to move the needle on net negative. If overwhelmingly the deportations are up, the criminal arrests are up, even if it's a significant, a less than significant amount, 40%, they're still doing a grandiose job right now, and the year's not even up yet. We're just beginning started with ICE and their amazing job that they're doing right now, because right now when you say net negative, we're talking about totality. I'm not seeing that right now when you're citing cases. The fact that, and here's, I'm going to tie this up real quick. If you can cite 7 cases, the reason why these 7 cases stand out is because of the rarity and circumference to the totality of the good that ICE is doing in general. Right.
Okay. So the problem with your line of thinking is that I am not willing, just because they can get high numbers, to erode our civil liberties. Yes, it turns out when you don't need a warrant to break into people's homes, you can get a little bit more arrests. But there is a very good reason why we have rules and regulations in place and laws and constitutional rights to protect us against the government for doing these things. It is meant to be hard for the government to break into your home. They are meant to go through hoops in order to do that. And when we remove these protections, it allows the government to abuse us. And I think that that is a worse America to live. Here, I'll just I'll do this.
I'd love to see
I don't
this
know how
breaking
long
into
it's. Let me
homes
finish just real
without a
quick.
warrant.
Uh, hold on. Let me finish, please.
Can you demonstrate that? Because that's an assertion you just made. We're breaking into homes
Yes.
without warrants.
Again, there was a whistleblower report just a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, where ICE, and I mentioned this earlier, ICE circulated amongst its members a memo. Okay, it was a secret memo. They hid it from the public. They hid it from
Can I see that? Can I? I'd love to see
investigators and
that.
things like that. I can bring you
have it?
the whistleblower report if you'd like.
Yeah,
But
I'd
real
love to
quick,
see
what they
that
were
right now
saying,
because these are
what
just
they were
empty
circulating.
assertions
Let me
you're
finish.
making right now.
Go
Hold
ahead,
on.
Wick, finish real quick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
What they were circulating, because I'm answering your question, right? What they were circulating was a report and a memo basically that said you don't need a judicial warrant to break into people's homes. You can just do it. They were using administrative warrants to do it, which what an administrative warrant is it's a warrant, quote unquote, that another ICE agent signs. It bypasses the judicial process altogether. It is illegal, right, to break into people's homes using just an administrative warrant. It is against the Fourth Amendment. And they were telling their agents that they had this ability to do it, but they did not have the ability to do it. And so this has been a common practice that the ICE agents have been engaged in, not just in Minnesota, but across the country, where they've been breaking into private residences, businesses, apartment buildings without a warrant. And when the people asked to see a judicial warrant, they are said, we don't have to show you this. There are plenty of examples of this. Again, it's a pattern of behavior.
So hold on.
It's a policy that they are engaged in that is,
Let's
again,
get straight to
just
the point.
violating people's Fourth Amendment rights.
Let's cut through the bullshit. I'll ask you a question real quick. Can you have civil liberties if you don't enforce them?
No, that's why it's
You
when.
can't have civil
Hold on,
liberties
when our
unless you
civil.
enforce
No,
them.
that's a great
Oftentimes, is it
question.
not the case?
Hold on,
Is-
let me. Let's dwell. Hold on, let's dwell on that question for a moment. Right? Yes, you have to enforce civil
Right.
liberties,
There
otherwise they
has
go
to be
away.
enforcement.
So when
Otherwise, civil
when
liberties
this
do not
administration
exist.
does not enforce our civil liberties, it's like we don't have them. When the government is able to just violate our civil liberties with no repercussions, which is what ICE is doing,
Hold on, Vic.
it is
Hold
like we
on,
don't
Wick.
have them. Do you want to live in
So,
America without
The
civil
civil
liberties, sir?
liberties of PDF files are illegal.
Everyone
Do they
gets
have the
civil
same civil liberties as somebody
Civil
legal
liberties are
living
for
here?
everyone.
Hold on, real
Oh yeah,
quick.
Mart.
So illegal liberties have
wait. Hold on, wait, Marte, because like we are everybody that we're talking about are going to be criminals in some way, even if they're here illegally. They're going to be criminals in some way. But the Constitution and the way that the law is set up in our country
No, I
does set it up
understand
to
that,
where we
but there's
would
a
want
point
civil
I'm getting
liberties
to.
for people, or like even due process for people who commit the most heinous crimes. Right? You agree with that? Yes.
So I agree with that to some extent. However, there has to be a caveat and some gray area for immediacy when it comes to certain circumstances when we have PDFs that are violating 13 and 14-year-olds and actually murdering. Matter of fact, one of them during Operation Metro Surge was an active, I would say this guy had murdered somebody. And for us to apprehend him, guess what's going to happen? Sometimes in law enforcement, blind eyes have been turned. But if we're going to fight these people and take them off the streets and they do not legally belong here, I would say that sometimes these things are going to happen. I'm not justifying this as a whole. I'm just saying.
Well, to be
if there's
clear,
a
hold on.
PDF
What Marte, you were giving examples earlier of people who were in prison and they're like getting them out of prison, and in those cases, that would make sense. But when we're talking about people who are not already locked up, where do you think where is it that we would degrade one's civil liberties for somebody who is not currently incarcerated?
So, would you believe that in lieu of carceration, like let's say in approaching somebody, are we en route to take away a lot of their rights in apprehending the person? That's the purpose of us apprehending them, so that way they can have a reduction of rights in our control and care and custody of this person, so that we can do whatever we need to. There's going to be a little bit of gray area, but however, the law is very black and white on this. There are going to be
Well, look,
civil
can I
liberties,
ask?
like you can't hold on. You can't shoot somebody in the back for no reason. You can't shoot somebody in the face for no reason. You can't take somebody's life away for no reason. There has to be justification. That's why there's use of force boards, Whick. By the way, back to this. There are investigations where these officers have been cleared. Now, although you can say things like, DHS, we had a director. Her name was Linda, matter of fact, and she came from DEA. She was outsourced from HSI. And matter of fact, to get in here, we have third-party people representation that come in and do these internal use of force boards when they come in. And it's like the seven-headed dragons looking at you, so it gets clear. So when you say things like they're not investigated, they always are. Use of force allegations are always investigated.
I think that the DHS is lying to you.
No, they're not lying. I've literally been
They
in
are
these,
lying.
But we don't even have to go by
let me just ask you.
what I'm
Do you
saying.
think that DHS was being honest when they said that Alex Preddy was intending to massacre cops?
You mean a guy that carried 2 magazines?
This is what I'm just going to read you the post that they made when
guy
Alex
who kicked
Preddy
out
was
taillights?
shot, and I'm just going to read this portion.
Well, I don't know if we need to
guy
read
who
the
was
post. I think
unstable.
we all know the what it is that they said. But Marte, when you say the guy who carried 2 magazines, do you believe that that was why he carried 2 magazines? Is he wanted to?
This, but hold on, Tom. We have to be able to build a case here. Now, the guy's mom
hold on,
said
stop.
that he was unstable.
You haven't answered my question.
He quit his job.
His
job
job
wouldn't even let him go.
No question.
He was
Please
so
wait.
mentally
Yeah,
unstable,
Marte, hold on. Marte, hold on. It
DHS
is that we would want you to answer the question before you build a case. You would want to make the statement
Hold on,
first.
just let me ask the question again so people can remember. When DHS said that Alex Preddy was intended to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement, were they being honest?
I can't confirm or deny that. We'll never know because he got shot.
What evidence would suggest that he was intending to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement?
Okay, we can build a case on this by saying that the guy was terminated from his job because of mental instability. His mom even told him, I wouldn't do this if I were you. That's a bad decision. And then not to mention this, he showed erratic behavior before this, kicking the tail light of a car out. Erratic behavior, mind you. And this guy didn't even carry a license when he brought his gun. Whenever you have your gun with you, you're supposed to have a license or some identifier. Didn't even have, the guy was just all over the place. So the erratic behavior leading up to this showed that there's some instability that no normal citizen would ever exhibit leading up to this. But you not
okay, I don't normally do this, but just to be clear, there was an article that came out that said that he was fired from his job, he was mentally unstable, that he had been inappropriate with patients. His parents said that he was acting erratically. That was a fake article. It was like a fabricated article. He was currently employed.
Yes.
No. He was currently employed. He was currently employed with the nursing home still, with the VA nursing home still when he died.
The VA had came out and said this, and also his mom had collaborated stories on this as well. Why would his
also a lie?
I'm telling you the article that they put this out.
Hold on, let's get this straight.
DHS's statement here and that article that you just cited were lies.
No, hold on, Whick.
You're basing your arguments on things that are not true.
Oh no, hold on. Why would his job and his mom lie? You're saying his mom and his job lie?
His mom and his job didn't say that. Someone claimed that his mom and his job said that, but
there's
they were
a statement
lying.
from his mom. We can bring it up if you want.
Bring it up.
It would probably be best to pull it up.
Yeah.
Because if we're going to use this as a claim for him being unstable and possibly going to do maximum damage, that would be, if that's part of your case that you're building.
We can even look at the thing that actually happened, where he did kick out a taillight. It's interesting, during that altercation, he had a gun on him, right? If he was intending to massacre law enforcement, he would have done it there. But he didn't.
Hold on, though. Well, if you are...
He also had his gun on... Let me finish. He also had his gun on him.
I don't want to make another argument while he's looking this up. I do want to allow him to find it before we
if you are going to
go down another line.
I think even the most loony bin people wouldn't tell you what they're going to do before they do it.
Sure, go ahead and find that. For anybody who wants to ask questions, you guys can send donations in my chat through the tips link, or if you guys send them to either Whick or Marte as well through their channels, send them super chats and support their channels as well. They can send them over to me, and we'll get those questions asked later towards the end as well.
and you can ask me questions as you want, right? As you get them in, but DHS has a pattern of lying, and they lie constantly, and they lie in ways that the public can see that they're lying. This is why public perception
You
and
haven't
public support for
demonstrated
ICE
that yet.
has gone off a
One
cliff.
case does not demonstrate a pattern.
I think he's
Well,
just restating his position while we're waiting for you to
Okay.
find the
yes,
source.
and it's not just one case. I can only give you one example at a time, but I can give you consistent examples over large periods of time where they do this. For example,
What does
another
net
shooting that
negatives?
happened in Minnesota was
What's the
a bunch
definition of
of
net negative?
they claimed that officer shot a man who was busy beating him with a shovel. But it turns out when the FBI affidavit came out, it turns out that they shot him when he was running away. DHS lied again. DHS constantly lies. They lied about the Renee Good shooting. They said in their initial statement that a violent rioter weaponized her vehicle attempting to run over law enforcement officers in an attempt to kill them. But when we reviewed the video, it's clear that she wasn't intending to kill him at all and instead was turning away from him. The evidence in every single case, again, contradicts what DHS says. And this isn't just in the courts of public opinion, it's in actual courts. Their cases get thrown out by judges because DHS is lying, right? And
No,
this happens
cases don't get
all
thrown
the
out because
time.
people are lying. Cases get thrown out because of time and money. That's the main reason why cases get thrown out, not
Not
because of
in this
lying.
case.
No,
Not
no,
in the
you
case
haven't
of
even
DHS
demonstrated that.
under
You
Trump.
haven't even demonstrated that. Matter of fact,
Okay,
that's the reason
he
why a lot of
he
people
is
get
that
mad.
is
Judges
part
have
of the
said
debate. But again,
this.
hold on. We need Marte. If you are you looking for the source currently? Because
Yes, actively doing
I
that.
did I do have a
Multitasking.
couple of fact checks here who do say that it's incorrect and that the family did come out making statements otherwise. But
I did have something bookmarked. Looking for that right now. It's a specific bookmark.
Okay. DHS, right, goes before the court and they have habeas petitions levied against them by people who've been detained who think that they don't deserve to be detained, that they're being detained improperly. And so they bring these habeas petitions before the court. The court awards, right? They grant the habeas petition. They say this person has been detained illegally or improperly and needs to be released. DHS delays their release by weeks in certain cases, and in other cases, they'll simply ignore the court. And this
okay,
is a
real quick.
problem that
I'll just read this so that he can hear it. I have fact checks from numerous sources. This is from a Google overview. It says reports suggesting that the family of Alex Preddy stated that he was unstable or that he was fired from the VA are false and fabricated, originating from spam or fringe websites. Family denounces the lies. Alex Preddy's family has publicly denounced statements from the administration and others as sickening lies and reprehensible and disgusting, emphasizing that he was a good man. The employment status was that Preddy was employed as an intensive care registered nurse at the Minneapolis Veterans Affairs Medical Center at the time of his death. He was not fired for misconduct.
Hold on real quick. So I have the exact statement. I'm just looking for the source on this.
well, do you deny that
Because I
fact
know
check's true, man?
No, I did. I just don't know where the bookmark went because my computer's on the fritz. My audio had went out, and I had deleted a bunch of stuff trying to get on the stream with you today on this debate. So give me 1 second. I know that. So the statement was like this, and it came from his mom. She had said, we had this discussion with him 2 weeks ago or so. You can go ahead and protest, but don't do anything stupid. Like already, her
Sure.
mom's telling her, instructing.
Did you not hear what Tom just read?
The
Yeah, I heard
the
what Tom just
statement that
said.
he just made is a different statement, saying that she just told him not to do anything stupid at the protest. Very different from whether or not he was unstable, which I believe was the claim.
Oh, so hold on. If we're going to piece together a case of a guy kicking out taillights, spitting on cops, and jumping in front of people in the middle of an investigation, so even if we omit that, like let's say we omit that because I don't know where the bookmark went, but let's get back to this. I'm anxious to get back to this. Even if we omit this, Tom, and none of that happened, do you think that him spitting on cops or agents and then kicking out taillights, and then his mom basically saying, well, don't do anything stupid in the lead up to this, and then bringing an active firearm to a really heated scenario, do you think that's pretty stable, normative?
Well, that's
People
why
who protest?
I think Wick brought up the same argument earlier, saying that he had been in a scenario 11 days before this, and that he was also attacked by cops in that scenario, also had the firearm on
He
him,
didn't shoot
and in that
anyone.
scenario didn't shoot anybody, didn't hurt anybody, and they ended up getting up and leaving him and walking away. And so he's saying that in this scenario, yes, he may act erratically, he may hit cars and things like that, but there wasn't any evidence to say that he would have done maximal damage,
Yeah,
as DHS had
in
said.
fact, there's evidence that he did not intend to do that. For if he had the means, but he forbore from doing so. And so again, Homeland Security in this instance and in many others lied to the American public. Do you at least concede that?
Say that again because my audio it kind of went out.
Sure. In this instance, when DHS said that he tended to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement, they lied to the American public. You can see that that's a lie.
No, I mean, I can't even engage with that and say that it's a lie because
If you
he
can't
did do.
engage to say that that's a lie,
Hold
can
on,
you
hold on.
admit that the sky is blue?
We lost your audio.
We lost your audio, buddy.
We lost Marte. Marte, we lost your audio. Your mic's out.
Wonderful. This is the competency of ICE, gang.
All right.
Oh, well, say again?
We heard you for a
Can you
second.
now?
You're cutting in
Little
and
bit.
out a little bit. Try one more time.
Can you now? A little bit.
Give me a
Little
full
bit.
sentence.
Testing 1 2 1 2.
It seems better. Okay, go ahead and try.
Testing 1 2 1 2.
Yeah, go ahead and make your argument or give your response again.
Yeah, go ahead, Wick. You were saying something.
I'm
No.
asking.
Marte, you were the one who
Yeah,
was
you were trying to
saying
respond to me,
something.
but I didn't hear you.
I really hate these technical difficulties that I'm having. Literally, it just erased a bunch of shit from my computer. My audio's fucking up. So I apologize for the tech issues on my end. This normally doesn't happen.
If you want Wick to repeat his
So-
argument, he can.
Yeah, go ahead, Wick.
Sure. My argument overall is that DHS has a pattern of lying. I gave you one example. We can go through more where they lie to the public, they lie to the courts, they disobey the courts. They're found in contempt of court. This is not an organization that has the best will of the people in mind, and you can't trust anything that they say or do because they have continuously shown that they are willing to ignore the courts and that they're willing to lie to the American public. And this erodes,
I
to
mean,
tie it into my
oh.
overall argument, is this erodes trust in institutions, making America a worse place overall.
This is a case of like one bad apple spoiling everything, and that you're trying to make, which is a
You
faulty
keep saying one
argument.
bad apple, but I
Like-
keep giving you multiple examples.
No, you gave one example, and the Alex Preddy example is not even a good example because we can get into another
I gave
debate.
you Alex
That would
Preddy.
be a
I
whole
gave
different
you
debate.
Renee Good.
That would be a
I
whole
gave
different
you
debate. The
the
Alex Preddy
evidence, the
justification.
example of them shooting that guy that was beating him with a shovel, and where they lied about that. I gave you 3.
No, you're just okay. Trust me, bro, is not a source. Once again, I haven't seen one source. I try to actually look for mine. I have plausible.
I can I can pull up these tweets. I can send them to Tomfoolery to pull
No,
up.
I don't want
if you'd
tweets.
like.
Hold on, wait,
I don't
hold
want
on.
tweets, I want
Marte,
facts.
hold on, wait, Marte, what of what he stated when you're asking for sources, what is it of what he said? What is it that you would like him to source?
Okay, I don't want like tweet because anybody can just put up a tweet. I want like fact-finding outcomes. Like, let's say that there was an investigation, and I want from like the Department of Justice, some bureau, basically stating that, hey, you know what, it went through these proper channels, and yeah, in fact, ICE was lying about this.
So
Not
you
a
want
tweet from a random 16-year-old or anything like that.
okay, I'm talking about would a tweet from DHS Gov be okay?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Department of Homeland
DHS.gov.
Security.
He said sure.
Oh, okay. Here's the one where they lie about Alex Preddy, and I'll just DM it to you. Give it a second. Hold on, let me bring up my Discord.
So, Wick, I'll even ask you a question. If ICE didn't exist,
There.
who would apprehend the PDF files and
INS.
extradite them out of the country?
The ICE is a relatively new organization. It was founded in 2003. The people
That
who did
doesn't
it
answer the
before were the
question.
INS.
If ICE didn't
That's who would
exist,
do it
who would
again.
do this duty?
Hold on. Clinton deported 12.5 million people. They were pretty fucking effective.
He said INS.
INS.
Okay, so you think that we should replace ICE with INS?
At this point, yeah.
Okay, so
Okay,
let's say we eliminate ICE.
Do you want me to read
Let's say we
the
eliminate
tweet
ICE.
from DHS?
That's up to him. He wanted a source on what the DHS was saying. I gave him one.
Yeah, let's go. Go ahead.
Okay.
Give me the source.
All right. So the tweet
You just
says.
share your screen so we can all read it, right? If you want.
Okay. Go ahead and make your argument, Marte. It'll take me a second to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
pull that
so when you're talking about like net negative, I'm still looking for a totality here, not some sparse cases that you're bringing up. Because the whole reason why I asked if ICE was off the board, you said NIS would be doing this, right? Now,
Yeah.
if ICE is now that ICE is doing this, they're ramping up these deportations and quite successful at this, and we're doing targeted investigations. That's being done, and I think that that's a great thing. You haven't disproved that. Actually, you conceded that point to me when you're saying, okay, because of maybe what 7 cases where it's fraught with rife with abuse, maybe in 7 cases, this isn't one state. This is 7 in totality that you brought up, maybe. And I'm being generous and charitable by saying 7 cases in the whole totality of the United States where ICE operates, because they operate in just jurisdiction Florida to California and everywhere in the northern hemisphere. That in the totality, they're a net negative. I haven't seen a strong case where I'm seeing where ICE should be taken off the map because they're net negative yet.
Okay, I just sent Tomfoolery a report from who is it, Senator Ossoff, of over 1,000 cases, and this is just in Trump's first term, like first year, 2025, right? This is just 2025, 2026, because January, right? And this is just in detention centers.
Okay, let's
over
touch on
1,000.
this one
Is that enough?
first. You guys have the share screen up.
Anything to your point.
You guys have the share screen up. Hold on, wait. Let's do one thing at a time. Do you guys have the share screen up?
I do. Go ahead.
Marte?
Share screen. Yeah, I mean, I see the Homeland Security thing, but this post doesn't say that they lied.
Okay, so hold on.
This is the lie.
It says so it says this is from Homeland Security. This is their account. It has 2.9 million followers.
Okay.
It says at 9:05 a.m. CT, as DHS law enforcement officers were conducting a targeted operation in Minneapolis against an illegal alien wanted for violent assault, an individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun, seen here. The officers attempted to disarm the suspect.
Can we pause on that one?
Mm-hmm.
That is deceptive, right? In the video, he had his gun holstered the entire time.
Where does it say that they confessed that they themselves lied?
Yeah, what real quick, what is the claim of the lie in this?
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting to see the claim of the lie.
There's several. That is the first dishonest thing.
Okay, can you demonstrate how that's dishonest?
Yes, we can bring up the Preddy video, and we can look if he ever brandished his weapon.
Marte, do you agree that when they say that it doesn't say, he's saying the post is the lie? So here it says an individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. So do you agree that when they say he approached with a gun, that this seems as though this is something that they were taking into account at the time when he approached, or does it sound like he just had one somewhere on his body?
You do understand the context of what they're saying right here, and that we can
Well, I'm
delineate
asking you a
between
question
the
about
nuance
that part real quick, because that's
If
part of
I'm
his claim.
if I'm a two-way carrying citizen and I'm holstered, I'm still approaching you with a gun, am I not?
Sure, but is that the
Right,
implication?
Yes,
Is
right.
but
that
when
it's
I
holstered?
approach, hold on,
Right.
this
Oh
may help.
shit. Now
When I
you're stretching
approach
limits of
someone,
credulity
I'm
here.
technically
This is
approaching them
crazy,
with
Whick.
my dick. But if I told them I'm approaching this person with my dick, it puts a whole different spin
How
on
would
it.
they
While
still be
technically
lying?
true,
Is your
is
dick not attached to
dishonest
your
and
body?
deceptive in what actually happened.
How would they still be lying if you approached with it on your person? Would they still be lying? No,
I
they wouldn't
just
be.
explained it. If I say that I approached that, if I say that Tom approached that woman with his dick, and we
Hold
look at
on.
the video,
So
and his dick was in
if
his
I
pants,
approach somebody
I'm
with a knife
technically
holstered,
correct, but it is a
would that still be
deceptive
approaching
way of
somebody with a knife
speaking.
holstered? If
If
I
they
have a
said
Answer my
weapon
holstered,
on
I
question.
my
think that is the
person,
disagreement, Marte, is that they didn't say holstered, and you're including the term
they don't
holstered
have
in
to
your
say it's
statement.
holstered to say that there was a weapon present on the person. It was on his person as he approached the volatile
Okay, Wick,
situation
was
that
there
he
a
inserted himself in.
Yes,
a
the
second
next
part, or is
Yeah,
line
that
is
this
that, that
another
okay?
doesn't
lie.
allude to
Okay,
any lies that they're
the
making.
very next line says, the officer attempted to disarm the suspect, but the armed suspect violently resisted. More details
Yeah,
on the armed struggle are forthcoming. Wick,
we
Yes,
couldn't get
what
his
is
nowhere in
hands
that
under
the
video did
control.
he violently
It's
resist.
resisting
He never
arrest. Yes.
struck violently at any of the officers in any of that footage.
So if I
do
spit
I
on an
need
officer, is
anything
that
else in
still
this, Wick?
assault?
Yes, almost every single line is a lie. They're all
No, it's
lies,
not.
right?
You haven't demonstrated where the lie is. I'm still waiting for that.
Yes,
Wait,
that
if I
is a
spit
lie.
on an
Can you
officer,
show me where he violently resisted the
if
officers
I
during that
spit on it,
altercation?
hold on. Do you understand that these circumstances could be written in paperwork like this? And I'll give you an example. If I spit on an officer, would I get charged with assault?
Did Alex Preddy spit on the officers?
Hold on. Can you answer the question? I'm just asking a simple question.
It's non-responsive, and
It
it doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking
it does
about.
have a lot to, and I'll show
Again,
you why it
did
has a
Alex
lot to do
Preddy
with this.
spit on those officers? Did
If
he
no, hold on.
violently
Can you answer
resist?
Can you answer the question straight up? If
Yeah,
I
Wick,
spit on an
he's
officer,
trying
will
to
I get
build a
charged with
case.
assault?
If you'll answer.
Yeah,
one more
he doesn't
time.
want to entertain with this. Please be good faith here.
His
Wick.
question is, if Alex Preddy had spit on an officer, would that be would that
Violent resistance?
call
No.
for would that
No,
call
you're
for
framing
charges
this
of assault?
differently. Can you be straight up and answer the question?
Sure, it
Would
could
that
be.
still be
It could.
assault?
You could say it's assault, but you'd never say it's violent resistance.
Right, right. Okay. Now follow this logic real quick. So if I had told somebody that I got assaulted on duty, how would that sound to somebody if I don't add the context? I was still assaulted and I charged somebody with assault. Granted, and I got spat on, but I charged somebody with assault.
So
I just
if you
didn't tell
told
him I
me
got
that you got
spat on.
assaulted on
Is that
duty and I
still
found out you just
accurate?
got spit on, I would think that
Hold
you were
on.
being a little
That is
dishonest
that
with me.
Wick,
Yes.
Wick. On paperwork, is that still
on, I'm
accurate
answering
that
you.
an officer got assaulted?
Okay, but again, let's go back to
Oh
the
wait,
point
hold
at
on.
hand.
No,
Did
hold on.
Alex Preddy violently resist?
No, hold on. So it would follow the logic. If he's resisting and not, we can't get control over his hands, and he has a weapon. Is that not a volatile, violent situation?
It's not him violently resisting. No.
It is so if I have
The
a weapon
violent
and
it
I'm
is a violent
resisting,
situation because the
hold on.
cops are being
No, hold
violent to
on. We're
him.
getting into semantics here, and I love this.
I'm not
But
getting
if
into
you
semantics. This is a
if you
direct
have a
claim. You're trying to
weapon,
play these
hold on, Wick.
fucky word
If
games,
you have a
but it's not
weapon,
working. Hold
no,
on.
it is
Everyone can
working.
see. Hold it. Do you
If I
understand
have
how
a
every
knife
single
and I'm
person in my
resisting,
chat,
that's violent.
in
If I have
Tom's
a
chat,
gun
in
and
your
I'm
chat,
resisting,
can
that's
see that you
violent.
are lying right now? You are being
No,
dishonest.
I'm not lying. I'm
Okay,
going
hold
through
on, hold on.
a trail of logic.
Hold on. Wick,
What you just said doesn't make any fucking
making a
sense.
semantic point over like what these terms mean. So he is talking about semantics. Marte, so what is your point here as far as the violence goes?
My
Violent
point-
resisting.
So if you spit on an officer, that would still be assault, even though if we look on its face, it would be appropriate to say that I was assaulted. Now, it may sound like I would say hyperbolic to tell somebody that, but I don't give them the context of this. I still charge somebody with assault, and it sounds very violent. Now, if I say that the person was violently resisting and it's violent, anybody that has a weapon, whether it be a knife, a gun, a bat, or anything else, and they're resisting, it amps up the propensity for danger. That's violent. It wouldn't be as violent, right? Would you say that it's way
Hold
more
on.
violent if somebody has a weapon in resisting than non-armed in resisting?
No, it would not
Wait,
be
hold
more
on. So it's
violent.
not more
If
dangerous
you
to
don't
arrest
use the
somebody with a weapon.
it is not more violent.
It is more violent if they have a
No, it is
weapon that
not.
can kill you and you're
If
arresting
you
them.
are
That's the
using a
dumbest shit.
weapon, it
Wick,
is more violent.
Wick,
But if
I
you
know you're
don't
not
use
this
a weapon,
stupid.
it is not.
If you have a life-ending weapon nomenclature, a gun on you, and you're resisting, you just made the situation more violent. The fact that you're not admitting this is crazy and asinine.
Of course you haven't. Why would you?
This blows my mind, Wick, that you're not even admitting this. This is complete denial.
So
on
you
your
think
part.
that simply having a gun on someone's person necessarily means whatever you were doing
While
is more
resisting is
violent
violent,
because you have
yes.
that gun on them. So if I
Yes,
walk
that's
into a
violent. Yes, it
restroom,
is.
have I done that violently because I had a gun on me?
If
Is
anywhere
it
where
more
you have a
violent?
weapon, do you have
If
a
I go into a
CCW?
grocery
Wick,
store or a 7-Eleven
Wick.
or up to a person, am I now more violent simply because I have a gun on my person, whether or not they know I do?
Yes, you are. If there's a physical
That is
altercation,
insane. That is an
that
insane
situation is
thing
more
to say.
violent because of that. Yes, it is.
That is an
The
insane
reason.
thing to say.
So
And
hold
it's
on.
crazy
Wick,
how
I'll
you're
ask you a
simply
question.
trying to spin this
Wick, no,
into
I'm not
anything
spinning
other
this.
than
This
what
is
it
what
was.
this is
We can
claim.
see the
That is
video.
what happened.
Alex
Wick,
Preddy never
do you have
violently
a
resisted.
CCW?
Do
Do
I
you have a
what?
CCW?
A concealed carry weapon?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, when you get a CCW, they tell you that whenever you insert yourself into a situation, you need to act differently because it's perceived more violent. That's anybody that's a weapons holder, that's a concealed weapons holder. They'll tell you. Matter of fact, the two weapons that Alex Preddy didn't utilize were his 2 feet, and he could have walked away. He didn't do that, thus making the situation more volatile and violent. The fact that you're
He
disagreeing
Well, I
with
just
this
want
and
to
denying
clarify,
reality is
Marte.
that.
insane.
I do want to clarify, Marte. I've heard two separate arguments real quick, and I want to know which one it is that we're making. One of them was that this is more violent. The other one is that there would be the perception of violence. Obviously, the term violence means that you're using use of force to harm somebody, whereas like a gun could be like a
No, not
perception of
necessarily.
violence, whereas just having a gun wouldn't actually be use of force to harm somebody. Well, if you want to give a different definition, I would like to hear it, but I would assume that that's the definition that most people are using.
So what's your So Wick, I'll ask you, what's your definition of violence? Because we can look up that definition if you want to get into semantics. Right now.
Violence, the use of physical force to hurt, harm, or attempt to hurt or harm someone or something.
Oh, okay. So if he's resisting arrest with the intent to evade arrest or to evade apprehension, that's pretty violent. If you're resisting, is it not? That's
No.
an act of violence, right?
No, not unless you use physical force in an attempt to harm or hurt someone or something.
No, the intent. So hold on, that doesn't.
You
make
asked
any
for my
sense.
definition of violence. That's my definition of violence, and that did not play
Can
out
violence be used?
on Alex Preddy's part during this altercation.
If you look at the secondary definition, it says strength of emotion or an unpleasant, destructive natural force. This could be a behavior.
So
where
hold
using
on, let me get
physicality
it
to
straight.
resist
If
is
I yell
violent
at
too.
you, do you consider that me being violent with you? So if I'm
No,
being
we're
arrested
talking
by
about
cops
physicality here,
and I
Wick.
yell at those cops, am I violently
Well, no.
resisting under your
Wait,
definition?
just to be clear, wait, Marte. The definition that you just gave was not about physicality. It was about emotions. You were talking about violent emotions. That was the second definition that you just read. That was about emotions. If you want to read it again, you can. Your mic is out again.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so back to this. Was he physically resisting arrest because we couldn't get a hold of his hands?
Or are we talking about
No, he was not
resisting
physically
arrest or violence?
resisting arrest.
That is an act of violence. Now that if you have a gun, there's more potential there, so that's pretty violent now.
Okay. That's Marte. That's what I brought up just a little bit ago. Is that the definitions that you gave or the arguments that you gave? One was about whether or not it is violent. The other one was about whether or not there is a potential for violence. That's what I was asking you to clarify. Is because
So if I have
Okay,
a kid
so real quick, hold on, Marte.
and I yank their
The
hand
thing
really
that we're
quick, is
hold
that
on, Marte,
violent?
hold on. The reason that we're getting stuck here is because the definition that Whick, you asked him for a definition earlier. You didn't seem to disagree with his definition. He gave a definition that included like a use of force to harm somebody. Now, the definition that you gave was about emotions. You didn't go back to that. So
No. I can
we would
stay on the
have to
initial
have some use
definition.
of. Okay, so we
We
would
can
have
stay
to
on the
have like
initial
a use of.
definition.
That's fine. So I'm saying though, in this scenario, in order for us to say that there's not just a potential of violence, but that there is violence,
No,
we would have to know where the use of force was to
let's
harm
clear
someone.
this up. Let's clear this up. So I'll even ask you a question, Wick. Can I violently yank my hand away from you if you're trying to drag me somewhere? Is that a violent act of violently yanking my hand away? Can I say that? And would that be inaccurate for me to say?
To violently yank your hand away if I'm trying to drag you
Yeah.
somewhere.
Would
You
that be
can, but that
inaccurate to say
implies
this?
when you do that you're
Okay, so an act of
harming me somehow.
non-compliance and refusing directives, that would be, you can use an act of violence without intentionally wanting to harm
He did
somebody,
not do
right?
that during
did
this
do that.
altercation.
He did do that. So you just
Where?
proved
Can
to
you
me.
show me on the video where
So,
you consider hold on. Where you
so
consider
you
him
just
to have
demonstrated that you
violently
don't have to have
resisted
intention to
arrest.
hurt somebody to
Just
be
show me on the
violent.
video. Bring it up. There's plenty there, right? Maybe Tom can bring it up. But show me in the video where you think he violently resisted arrest.
Do you want me to pull up the
There's
video,
no
Martin?
time there.
Yeah,
So
please do.
okay, if I tell somebody, hey, I need you to lay down and comply with orders, and you're doing everything but doing that, and in the process, we're trying to actually create more officer safety by involving more bodies and resources on the scene, and you're still not actively complying and laying down, putting your hands behind your head, or anything like that on the video, guess what? And you have a gun, that creates a more volatile, violent situation. I would
Okay,
call
but
that a
the
violent
cops never
arrest.
did that. The ICE agents, the Border
Did you
Patrol
have the
agents, they
audio?
never
Do you have
did
the
that during
audio
this
on this?
altercation.
So if you're saying this, you must have heard the audio.
Did you?
No, you're the one making the assumption that you may have heard the audio on this.
You were saying that
You're saying he
under
didn't
the
do this. Can you
impression
prove that
that
he didn't do
he
that?
hold on. I never hear a single time them ordering him down. In fact, they drag him back after they pepper spray him. When he gets pepper sprayed, he tries to help the lady up. They drag him
No, he
back.
didn't try to help the
They
lady up.
throw they he absolutely bring up the video. We're gonna
No,
have to bring
she
up the video. Can
stood
you bring up
up.
the video, Tom?
What happened was she
Yeah, I got it
stood
right
up.
here.
She was already up already. He put his
The
arm
woman was on
around
the
her.
ground when that was a different woman. He's talking about
Yeah, just
the
show the
other
video.
woman
We
that they
don't have
pepper
to. We
sprayed.
don't have to guess here. We can just watch.
So they're talking about this woman that he shoved to the ground. He's saying
Yes.
right here,
He gets pepper
this is
sprayed
where
here.
he goes to help her up.
He grabs her. Then they grab him off and drag him off.
Yeah.
And then throw him to the ground. And then beat
No,
him.
he wasn't thrown to the ground. He was placed on the ground.
Okay, replay it. Replay it. Show it.
Where's the throw? I'm waiting for the
Right
throw. Where's the
there.
throw? Oh, he wasn't thrown on the ground.
He was thrown to the ground.
No, he was
forced
gently
down,
escorted to the ground. You
beaten,
can see it
and then
right now.
shot.
Stop the cap. I don't see any hip tosses. I don't see any tossing. Nobody
Sorry,
was
I'm trying
thrown.
to-
Stop. You're lying to us in front of everybody, Wick.
You were saying that he wasn't thrown to the ground.
Wait,
there.
where's the throw then? I'm waiting for the throw. Where's it at? He got pulled. Where's the throw? Okay, lying in 4K now. Now we can continue.
Am I
Wick,
lying?
this is
here?
ridiculous.
Is this a lie when I say he was thrown on the ground?
He wasn't thrown.
Forced down. He was beaten.
Oh, he was.
and then
Oh,
he
hold
was
on.
shot.
So now it's forced. It's not thrown
He was
anymore.
thrown to the ground, forced down. This all
He
happened.
wasn't thrown
to the ground,
We
forced
can-
down,
Wick,
beaten.
you have
and then
two
shot.
eyeballs. I know your glasses are prescription. They must work, right? Hopefully, he wasn't thrown.
Okay, so real quick,
was
I'm not sure
absolute-
what the disagreement on whether or not he was thrown is for. I don't know if this
I
matters
don't understand
to the,
either.
And if it
to the
takes
argument
3
much, but-
officers to detain this guy and get his hands under control, guess what? If he has a gun, that makes it a more volatile, violent situation.
But he is not doing the violence. They are doing the violence to him.
No. We're trying to get him under
And
control.
just show the whole thing
The
until
guy,
the shooting part. Don't
no.
show the shooting part,
So
but
you're making this sound like as if
tell me
Preddy was
where
the
he's
authority here.
violent
He
here.
wasn't. Preddy is not the authority here. There's a hierarchy. There's an active investigation. We're not going to kowtow and bow down to Preddy when he's the person that's in the way obstructing justice. That's crazy and asinine to
The
even
whole
say.
point of why we're doing this is because my claim is that the DHS lied when they said that he violently resisted.
Oh,
And I
hold on.
want you to show me in the video
You can't
where it
even
is
show me
that
he was
you think
thrown.
he was violent.
He wasn't even thrown, so you lied about that, and you're accusing
Okay,
DHS
I'm
to
going to
lie
ask you again.
about lying.
Show me in the video where you think Alex Preddy was violently resisting arrest.
If we're pulling him and he's resisting and not complying with officer, he knew. Did he not know that these were agents
Wait,
he was dealing with?
Marte, hold on, Marte. The claim is that he is resisting. He's asking where he is resisting, and then you said if he is resisting, then XYZ. He wants to know where in the video that he's resisting. So
Not just resisting.
I'll rewind a little bit.
Okay, we can get.
Just to be
Okay,
clear.
so violent real. So I'll play again, and then Marte, tell me when to pause. Okay.
Yeah, right there automatically. The guy put himself in a situation, and we had to pull him back. The guy obviously
Where is he
tried to.
resisting? Where is he
If
resisting
he's
arrest?
holding
Is the
onto her
question.
jacket and we had to pull her off, there's resistance there. Matter of fact, the meaning of resistance is refusal to accept or comply with something, the attempt to prevent something by action or argument. Was that not what he was doing? I see that right there before my very eyes.
He was not.
He was. Hold on. If you rewind the tape, he's pulling on her jacket as they're pulling him. Does that not create resistance? Oh, still holding on her. Oh, we have to separate his arm from her jacket. That's resistance.
That is not violently resisting arrest.
That is violently
hold on, just to be clear, your
resisting
claim
arrest.
here. Your claim here is that because he still had a hand on her jacket, that you consider that violently a resisting arrest.
Yeah, I think I would actually agree with you if he didn't holster a weapon during the time or have any weapons on him, for sure. But it definitely changes the case.
Hold on. What
if we're
about
looking at
him
this.
having a weapon makes his hand on her coat a violent resisting arrest, whereas if he didn't have a weapon, it would not
had
be
a weapon.
Violently resisting arrest.
He had a weapon during this resistance. Did he have it holstered on him?
Yes, it's a holstered weapon at this
Or
time.
was his other
still
hand? Was
holstered.
it free to grab it at any time while he was resisting physically with the other hand?
What do you mean?
Oh shit, Whick.
Hold on. What do you think you just did there?
So when he was resisting being pulled by the ICE agents because he wouldn't comply, holding onto the jacket, his other hand was free while he had an active weapon. Do you think officers would approach you differently if you had a holstered weapon as opposed to if you were unarmed?
Okay.
Do you think
we
that
aren't
the two
talking
officers
about how the officers will react? We're talking about whether or not that constitutes violent resist of arrest.
That's a violent resistance of arrest if you have a gun on you. We are going to perceive that as violent.
I'll just let the audience just watch it, and they can decide for themselves whether or not
they can definitely decide on this. But I'm telling you right now,
arrest. He is not harming anyone. He is not attempting to harm anyone.
You've already
conceded
that you don't have to harm somebody to be violent.
Does he harm any of these officers? All he is doing is trying to help a lady up. He gets dragged again.
So hold on. When I give you a hypothetical,
to the ground, thrown to the ground.
Hold on. Marte, let him finish real quick.
Beat him, and they shoot him in the head.
Okay, so Marte, I'm gonna let you give a final statement on this part of it, and then we'll go back to the tweet real quick. We do want to try to get through this tweet as quick as possible. So Marte, go ahead.
Yeah, so here's the thing though, is like if you have two suspects and an officer approaches, one's holstered, the other isn't, the report's going to look dramatically different during the arrest if somebody resists. We can definitely be justified to say that was a violent arrest because of the optics, perception, and because of the fact that there's increased danger in this volatility of this arrest, as opposed to like the other person was being arrested, and maybe if they were resisting, we could still put violent arrest. Because the fact that they were resisting, that's an act of violence. Matter of fact, if you're resisting and you're holding on a jacket, I violently pulled you away while you were violently opposing this. That's an act of violence in itself, definitionally. You don't, and matter of fact, you've already conceded the fact that you don't need to outwardly state that you're intentionally wanting to hurt somebody for anything to be violent. You've already conceded that already. Now, moving back to this, I'd love to see where DHS is lying about this on the tweet.
Okay, so so that was the one where it says the officers attempted to disarm the suspect, but the armed suspect violently resisted. More details on the armed struggle are forthcoming. Fearing for his life and the lives and safety of fellow officers, an agent fired defensive shots. Medics on scene immediately delivered medical aid to the subject, but was pronounced dead at the scene. The suspect also had 2 magazines. Yeah, go ahead.
The defensive shots, there was nothing defensive about those shots. He was not threatening them in any way. That was also
that's false.
A lie.
That's false. So if you have a first weapon, you would say a primary. Would it not be the case that there's probably a probability of a secondary?
There might be.
Right. Do you think officers have a safe assumption to make in a volatile arrest within seconds notice, or even having the perception of the officer, not the video, not 20/20 evidence, but in the heat of the moment, to assume if he's then reaching back, which he did on the video, he reached back, that he probably could have had a secondary. This couldn't even been a gun. This could have been a knife or anything else, that we would have been perceiving that because you have 2 magazines, there might have been a secondary.
So do you think that if an officer thinks that a suspect might have a weapon on him, that makes a shooting defensive in nature if they shoot? That all I have to do is I see a guy on the street, I think, oh, he probably has a gun, and I shoot him. Is that justified as a shooting?
So there's 2 statements you made right now. When you say probably, no, not probably. We already removed a gun off of him already, so that implies that there's probably possibility of a second.
Why would that? Why would that necessarily imply that?
Hold on. Okay, then we can address this real quick. The reason why is because you've already conceded right now that if somebody has a primary, they probably have a secondary. Now,
no, I did not concede that. You asked if it was possible.
You already said that. You said most likely.
Possible.
Yes.
Not that it is probable.
He said that it was possible if that was the case.
Hold on. So I'm going to give you an example. If I'm at a convenience store and I have somebody detained and they're under arrest and I'm trying to apprehend them, which you don't need to be able to tell somebody, hey, you're under arrest. If there's a violent altercation, I can then grab them and try to cuff them up, especially if I have resources, which other officers at my disposal, and we're trying to take them and somebody reaches into their pocket. Am I going to wait for them to say, okay, let's see what it is before they pull it out?
If you have no reason
think that that's
to believe
reasonable
that they
for
have a
police to
gun,
do?
you should not shoot them.
No, that's not my question. If somebody is under arrest, let's make it general. I'll make it dumbed down for you. If somebody's under arrest and we say, hey, freeze, don't do anything, and you reach for your pocket, do you think we should wait to see what you produce to make sure it's a gun before we shoot?
I don't think that you should shoot until you see a weapon. No.
No, that's not how it works. What the hell?
You asked me
this
what
is
I
ridiculous.
think we should do.
You would
I
have
told you
so many
we
dead
should do.
officers in this nation.
Here,
if
in
you're
this
like, no, we
case,
have to see if it's
Freddie
a gun
never
before we
reached
shoot.
for her gun. He never reached for a weapon.
He reached down across his back.
Can you show me that?
It's on the video.
Yeah, show it. Show it to me. Show me the frame.
He does, but it's after he's already been shot.
Yes, people do this all the time in like a last-ditch effort.
Hold on. So you're telling me that because after he was shot in the back, he reached towards his back, that justified him getting shot in the back before he reached there?
Do you know what panic fire is? Do you know what that is? If I get shot, I'm probably going to have pattern recognition and reach for the secondary sometimes if that's the case. This is a pattern behavior, especially with
So real
CCW
quick, let me
holders.
just play this. Let me just play this real quick so I can show the audience what it is we're talking about.
See, that's where they're beating him, by the way. Yeah, and then they shoot and they kill him.
So that's where they start shooting the part where he reaches behind him. The part where he reaches behind him is
so
here.
Whick, we don't think that it's a good idea to approach law enforcement with a weapon, right? Do you think that was a good idea?
What do you mean? I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that.
So you already hear the first shot.
If I have a weapon holstered on me, and I don't,
just real quick, this is him reaching behind himself, but this is after the first shot, as I said. So
Yes, I don't care what he did after he shot.
Yeah. Right. So you don't care that if somebody's still alive and in last ditch effort, they're gonna think life preservation at the time and try to take one last shot.
Because he
This is
got
this is something that can
shot,
happen
and that
oftentimes.
shot before he reached anywhere was unjustified.
So if somebody got shot and they're still reaching, are you going to, so like I said, the same thing that you went ahead and conceded, are you still going to wait for them to pull it out to see what it is?
There's a
I
wait.
wouldn't have
There's a
shot the guy
Marte.
in the
There's a
first
there's a hold
place.
on. Wait. There's a we have like some wires crossed here. The thing that Whick is contesting is the very first shot. You're saying yes, after the first shot he reaches behind him, so now they have justification to continue shooting. But he's contesting the very first shot that's before he reached behind him.
So when they yell gun, the weapon that he did have has been known to have misfires all the time. We can agree on this, right?
Not all the time, no.
No, it was so much that they discontinued this from the Air Force and other organizations as well too.
But his gun did not misfire.
No, wait, hold on. Can you agree to that? The weapon misfired so many times. It had so many weapons malfunctions that they took it off the
but
market.
you have to show me where his gun misfired.
There's still footage of this where the guy didn't have his finger on the trigger and it still went off.
Show me where that gun went off.
Yeah, I'm not sure where it goes off either.
We can do this.
Well, I mean, from my understanding,
Okay.
the DHS hasn't even
That
claimed
didn't
that the SIG went off.
What I'm hold on. Let me not hide the ball. Let me be very
the
clear.
SIG
Marte,
did
you're
go
fucking
off.
lying. That never
Yeah,
happened.
anyways,
you cannot
Whick, you've
produce
been
evidence
lying
of it
you
happening.
lied to me twice already.
I've never
You
lied to you
literally
once
lied
during
to
this
me on camera
conversation.
right now, Wick. You've said
All
the guy
my
was
all my
thrown
statements
down
have been
and he
backed up
wasn't
by
thrown
either
at
video
all.
evidence or textual evidence. Every single one.
So we
Okay,
Wick,
telling
we
you
just
real
saw
quick.
video evidence of the guy
you
not being
have
thrown, and you're
no
going to assert that he
proof
was thrown, which is
that
false.
the
You lied to me in
SIG
my
that he
face.
used discharged accidentally. You have no proof of that.
Wick, I have
Okay,
proof
real
of
quick.
you lying to me in my face saying he was thrown and he wasn't thrown. But anyways,
He
let's
was absolutely
continue.
thrown to the ground.
Okay,
and we
real
can all
quick.
see
No,
it.
he wasn't thrown. That's bullshit. We saw this right now.
So
You're
that
gonna
I
lie to
can-
your
so that
audience
I-
and mine.
Hold on, so that I can X out of this. Wick, you had a second link as well. What was this one?
Oh,
I
he
don't
asked
see
me
any
for-
lies in this link,
This
by
was
the
a
way.
while ago. He asked me for proof. I said that there's
This
over
isn't
1,000
proof,
reports
Wick.
of
Not
Hold on,
proof.
Marte. Hold on,
credible
Marte.
reports
Hold
of
on.
human rights abuses in immigration detention facilities during the years since January 20th, 2025 to current day. Right? There's over 1,000 reports. That's the report. It's a Senate report from a Senate hearing. Is that official enough for you? It represents a pattern of abusive behavior.
Wait, what?
I'm gonna X out of the.
Wait,
Hold on,
hold on real
wait.
quick.
Hold on. I'm gonna X out of the screen share. I sent the same thing to Marte. So Marte, if you want to look at that, you can. If you don't want to contend with this, that's fine. I did want to get to some different aspects of this, but yeah, Marte, do you
Sure.
want
So
to
just
contest
to kind
with
of
the John
put a
Ossoff
bow,
part?
if I may.
It's hold
Just
on
to
real
put a
quick.
bow
It's
in all
weird
this,
Well, hold on,
because
hold on.
on my
Wait,
screen-
let me hear. Hold on. I want to. Marte, do you are you wanting to contest with this?
Well, hold on. I will say this, and my chat can't even admit to this. On the chat, if you can see on the right side of my screen, does it say messages failed to load? I can't even bring up the information. Do you not see that right there? So on my screen, I can't bring up the information that he presented. It's refusing to bring it up. I hit try again, and it's failing to load that information.
Okay.
Not
I mean, you
lying,
can
I'm
try
showing
on your
objective
phone.
evidence on my
don't
side.
bl- I don't think you're
we've
lying
seen
on
your
this.
issues.
Your tech
Yeah,
issues
if
have
you have your
been
if you have your
evidence.
phone, you can. Do you have Discord on your phone?
No, I don't. I'd have to download it on
Okay.
my phone.
Okay.
You know
All
what?
right.
Look,
Well, then hold on. We'll.
Well, the first point is
Well,
well,
hold on.
well,
Wait.
the first
Hold on.
point that we
Wait.
had
Hold
on
on.
X,
Wait.
because I didn't see any lies.
Hold on.
That
Okay.
he can
So
demonstrate.
Wick, you said that you wanted to put a bow on this, and then we'll let Marte respond, and then we'll move on.
sure. I think
ahead.
it's pretty apparent from the video we saw and from the text of the DHS tweet that I provided that the DHS lied throughout that encounter and lied about what happened. All the statements I've made on this have been backed up by video footage, which we have reviewed, or by the text, which we have also reviewed. I've been able to show you. I've been able to provide this evidence. And when I ask for evidence in return, you fail to provide it. I asked for proof of the SIG going off and discharging accidentally. And what I would accept as proof is video evidence of it happening or a DHS report saying it happened. But you have failed to provide either of those things. Um, you just consistently lie, and this is a problem. And it's why it's hard to engage with you in good faith on these things because you'll just lie.
Okay, are you
All
done?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
right.
Marte, go ahead and wrap this part up.
I'm going to respond real quick to these claims. So I've shown proof in the initial setup that we've had for this
No,
debate
you
that I've had
haven't.
audio. Hold on. I never interrupted you. That I've had audio issues, video issues, and on my side, it shows messages failing to load. And not to mention this, my bookmarks that I've had for this debate have been eliminated and deleted off my computer. I don't know why I'm having it. So I can show proof that I've had technical difficulties on this issue. But here's the thing, though: you're at the behest of the things that you can't prove to me when you show an email or actually a message on from DHS on X saying, well, they're asserting this, that it's violent. It's just the semantical issues in your feelings. When you say this, well, it's not violent if they had a gun and they're wrestling it away from you. Well, that's also a matter of perception. If they say it's violent, do you not know that even if I can see this to you, that it wasn't violent and they said it's violent, that it doesn't move the needle on ICE being a net negative to the nation? Even if I can see this, and you've admitted in the opening onset of this debate saying, yes, they're doing more arrests. Yes, they're doing more deportations. That's literally their job, which is demonstrably a net positive more than a negative. You have to prove,
Hold on, let
the
me ask
onus
you
is on you to
this.
prove that they're a net negative in this
Sure,
debate.
let me ask you this. If
Real quick,
for
just for
every
housekeeping, Wick, do you hear Discord sounds? Is it me
yeah,
or is it
it's
him?
notifications.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure
Yeah.
it wasn't me. Okay, okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, okay? Say that we could double the deportations under Trump today, right? But in order to do that, we'd have to rape children. So for every time we double the amount of deportations, we have to rape 1,000 kids. Would you be okay with that?
That's a disingenuous question to even ask. Nobody would be okay with
Can
that.
you engage with the hypothetical, please?
I just did. I said nobody would be okay with that. That's an
Okay.
engagement.
So there are certain things that can happen that even if we increase our deportation numbers, even if things line go up, we would still not be okay with it and say it's a net negative because a certain thing is happening that we view as so harmful that it overrides the whatever possible benefit we could gain from more deportations. My
So,
argument is that the consistent lying, the consistent breaking of the law by DHS and ICE officers are so egregious, so apparent, and happen so often that it overrides any benefit that we get from increased deportation numbers.
Well, hold on.
Do you
So we did
understand?
get into this
Tom,
earlier. Hold on. Wait. We did get into this earlier, and like Marte was saying that he was looking for some sort of like systemic problem that
there
is
hasn't
that
been
would
any
exist,
demonstration
and
of
so
this.
well, so hold on. So when we're talking about like illegal things, Wick, do you have like examples of court cases or things of this nature that would show that there is something more systemic happening, or even where they're being charged with something illegal?
Well, Tom, can I interject for just a
Well,
second?
hold
I'm
on.
not going to
Well,
derail.
no. I wanna,
So I can
I'm
show you
asking
reports.
Wick if he does or not. He
Sure.
can
I can show you
go
reports
ahead.
where they violated court orders. I can show you information where they passed around the whistleblower report of them passing around the secret memo that shows the violation of the Fourth Amendment, right? That's what I can give you. Give me a second. I have so many links.
So,
Again,
okay,
guys, if you guys want to send super chats with any questions, we're gonna try to get to questions in about 30 minutes. So if you guys have any questions, you can send them through a link that's put in my chat for tips, or if you guys even send them to Marte or Wick, we can I'll get them to send those over to me as well,
Sure.
and we'll read them.
so
But
Tom,
yeah,
while he's looking up
go
this
ahead.
information,
Well,
I
I
just
gave
want
you
to say,
one. Hold on.
so
Let me get the whistleblower
hold on,
report.
Tom. Can I say something while he's looking up the information because he was allowed to do that while I was trying to find mine, which
Yeah, go ahead.
computer issues, whatever, right? So he's asserted that I've lied while not demonstrating how I've lied. Or in order for him to make an accusation, he needs to be able to logically demonstrate this, which he hasn't on his end. And I've literally asked. I said, okay, they're breaking into houses. Remember, I said before, Tom. I said, okay, can you show me where they're breaking into houses without warrant? These cases. He still hasn't proved any of this or demonstrated this. Yeah, he's accused me of doing the same thing that he himself is doing, which is crazy.
I'm literally hold on. Tom has tried to show you some of these things, but your tech isn't working, so you can't see. And that's the
Well,
frustrating
would I
part of all
still
this.
be correct in my analysis? Still, even if I could, am I still right to say I can't see it
Well, he's
or haven't
well,
seen
no,
it?
no, no. Hold on, hold on,
Hold
hold
on.
on.
No,
He's
no,
not.
no.
No,
Hold
no,
on.
no.
Stop.
Wait, no, no,
It's
no.
your
Hold on, wait, wait,
argument.
wait. Hold on,
Because
hold on,
I-
hold on, hold on, hold on. He was asking me a question. So the problem is that when you say he hasn't demonstrated it, Wick is your claim isn't just that you haven't seen it, but that he hasn't demonstrated it. So Wick is claiming he has demonstrated it. Your tech problems are keeping you from knowing that he's demonstrated it.
Okay, then we can say that. Then I can say my technical difficulties are preventing me from knowing he's demonstrated this, but I can't agree with something that I can't prove as well too. That I can't see.
Okay, and that's why
Right?
we're gonna move on. So
Yeah.
the article that he just sent me is from Politico. It says how ICE defies judges' orders to release detainees step by step. Courts across the country have overwhelmingly rejected the Trump administration's effort to round up thousands of immigrants and lock them up without a chance for bond, even if they have no criminal records and have lived in the United States for years. But the Trump administration has slow walked or outright defied judges' orders demanding the release of people scooped up by the Immigration and Customs Enforcement at increasingly rapid clips. So,
Can you send that to me on X, because I have my X up right now. I'm pretty sure that we're I don't know if we're friends on
yes.
X or not. That way, because I'm trying to be
While
as
you
good
look,
faith
I gotta
as
use the restroom
possible.
real quick, so I'll be right back.
Unlike
okay,
what Wick
Okay.
is saying, he's saying on bad faith. That's why I'm opening up new avenues of connection, so we have this fluid communication, and I'm offering X so that way we can at least see that. If my Discord is
Also,
down
do me
or
a favor.
malfunctioning,
If you guys have to walk away, don't. I meant to say this earlier, but don't turn off your cameras because it does. I have like all of the cams set up separately over here, so that's why like screen sharing and stuff like that does mess up everything on my side. But okay, so I'm gonna send this to you on
so it's a news
Twitter.
source.
Yeah, so it's from Politico, but it does have sources linked.
And that's the thing, though. I just want to, like, I'm not trying to do a gotcha or anything like that in his lack of presence here, because I think that would be bad faith if I just try to slam his whole argument when he wasn't present. But I do want to say, though, that when he did show I would say the statement from DHS on X, this is just like a perception issue. This isn't like, okay, it doesn't mean he was resisting or anything like that. Even if we took out the violent out of this doesn't change the fact that he was resisting and that they wouldn't be justified to not say this. And we kind of lose the premise when we're saying he still was resisting regardless, and it doesn't move the national needle on net negative on this whole argument. That's all I was saying, just to clear things up on my end.
According to my side, Twitter's down.
So it's like a lot of malfunctions happening on our end.
I'm back.
This is This is just a crazy, weird tech day for.
Okay, now it's up. All right. What is your name on Twitter again?
It's Mighty Marte.
Okay.
Wick, how come, you know what? This is aside from the whole point, Wick. How come you always wear a hoodie? Like,
Branding.
you remind me of Ewok every time I see you. This isn't
Okay, I sent it to you.
Okay. Let me refresh this so I can see this real quick.
All right, so Wick, real quick, summarize for us once again what it is that we're supposed to get from the article.
Are we looking at the political one right here?
Yes.
So earlier in the debate, I mentioned and I asserted that ICE is regularly defying the courts, slow walking release orders, or in some cases, outright ignoring release orders or ignoring judges' orders. And this is reporting showcasing that that is correct, that my assertion is correct. And the reason why this is important is because it demonstrates a pattern of behavior. Because my argument is that ICE, DHS, the Trump administration, because of their policies, are engaged in a pattern of behavior that is eroding our civil liberties. And here is one bit of evidence that showcases that. There's a lot to go through, but that is one.
Oh, hold on real quick. You're talking about this article where the judges are basically going against the Trump administration or refusing to cooperate with him. Yeah, of course. We've had judges fighting him from even lawful arrest. This happens all the time by refusing to let DHS agents arrest on site with the court when they're justified doing this. We actually had a
Okay,
case.
these are
And
hold on. These are habeas petitions. Do you know
hold
what a
on real
habeas
quick.
petition is?
There, hold on. I'll even state a case, and I can bring this up as well too, where a judge had
I-
to
Well,
I just
wait,
need
hold
to
on.
hear
go
This
out of the
is
back.
wait. Marte, let him respond because yeah, I don't want to
Yeah,
move
go
to
ahead.
an example before he gets clarification in.
Okay, I'm just asking you if you, and I'm not asking this as a gotcha. I just want to know if you know what this is, so I can explain if you don't. Do you know what a habeas petition is? Habeas. Sorry, habeas. Sorry,
Wait, say it again. My audio's
a
messing up.
habeas petition. Do you know what that is?
A habeas petition? Did you
Yes.
wait? Hold on. Say it again.
Yes, that is what
Habeas
he's asking. Do you know
petition.
what habeas is? Like habeas corpus.
You're talking about the process of allowing the lawfulness of positions to justify holding somebody, things like that.
Yeah, when someone puts through
It's someone's ability
puts
to
forward
challenge
a
whether or not
habeas
they're being held.
petition, they're challenging challenging the government's ability to hold them in prison or detainment, right? Oh, his audio went out.
Your audio's out again. Your mic is out again. Your mic's out again.
Here, I'll give my audience the article too so they can read it. I can't hear a word you're saying.
You guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Go
A
ahead.
safeguard against government detention. I'm familiar with that.
Yes. So when a detainee feels that they have been wrongly detained, they are putting forth a habeas, I'm sorry, I pronounced it wrong, a habeas petition to the courts. And when they win their petition, when they win their case, ICE is delaying or in some cases outright ignoring the court. And that is illegal. They do not have the
Oh,
ability
hold on.
to do that.
You're talking about where in Minnesota where judges are refusing to work with the Trump administration. You know that this knife cuts both ways, right?
How does it cut both ways?
It cuts both ways when you have people like Brandon Johnson refuse to basically saying that we have ice-free zones. So naturally, if you look at Chicago, even as an example, judges aren't going to work with the Trump administration also. Does that
Judges
not
have no
stand to be correct?
obligation to
Oh,
work
hold on.
with the administration. They have an obligation to uphold the law.
So you mean to
If the
tell
law
me
requires
that with law,
them
they're
to
hold on. Is it refusing to work with the law if you're telling people we have ice-free zones?
hold on.
No, answer the question. Is that a
If you,
refusal
yeah,
to work with federal law if you're telling
you
ICE who are
can.
federal agents and have jurisdiction to
You,
work
you know that
anywhere
that
except for
sanctuary
national
cities
parks?
are legal, right?
Hold on. Can you answer the question, Wick?
Yes, it's legal to
So
do that. It's
no,
legal to do
no.
that. Judges are
Federal
legally allowed,
agents,
right? Or
federal agents
cities,
can operate
politicians
anywhere.
are legally allowed to say, hey, we're not going to cooperate with the federal government here. We're not going to work with them.
So you're admitting that they are actively
It's the 10th
obstructing
Amendment,
ICE
man.
from detaining criminals and taking them. That's what you
No, I'm
just
not.
admitted right now.
No, I'm not.
Oh,
What
hold
you
on.
were
You said
asserting,
they can lawfully
yes, I'm
resist
not
and not work with the
asserting that
government.
they're doing it.
You just
I'm
said this,
asserting
Wick.
that they
Well, hold
can.
on. All right, we're getting a little off the off
Yes, and
topic for a
you're
second
not again
because
engaging with
hold on,
my
wait,
question.
hold
You're
on,
not
hold on,
engaging
hold
with
on,
any
hold
of
on.
my questions.
Because
Hold on, wait,
logically, it
Stop,
has
hold
to
on,
stop,
make
hold
stop,
on,
sense.
stop, please.
hold
Wick.
on,
Let me get through this.
hold
This
on.
Let
is
me get through this,
crazy.
please.
So,
I got to.
well, this is the problem
Hold
is
on.
that
Can I just get through
we're
this?
his claim was about a judge not cooperating and that the courts were not
Sure.
cooperating. But the example that he gave was, I believe, a mayor, Brennan Johnson. Whereas I was going to ask for an example of courts not cooperating, if that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, this is also the police department and courts, and his whole city is basically saying we're having ice-free zones, which means
What
that ICE
judge
can't
has
operate.
refused to
Hold on,
cooperate with the
hold on.
administration?
ICE can't operate within court systems, the streets, or any jurisdiction in their city because apparently the whole of Chicago is ice-free, which means they're refusing to cooperate with them. So when you say this null avoids your point when you say that no, it's
No,
just
it doesn't.
the government that's at fault when the courts aren't operating with ICE or even wanting to cooperate with ICE.
Can you give me a
That's
case, a
crazy.
single instance? Can I ask my question first? Can you give me a case or a single instance anywhere in the United States of America where the government has brought suit and the courts, even though the petitioner has a legal right to bring a suit, because it's ICE, the government has refused to hear it?
Say that again. My audio was kind of
The
acting up.
judges have refused to hear it, I should say. Okay, let me repeat it again. Can you give me a single instance in the continental United, or even, I won't say the continental, you can do Hawaii too if you like, right? In the United States of America, right? Can you give me a single instance where ICE has had a legal ability to bring something to court, right? And that the justices or a justice, a judge has said, I'm not going to follow the law and I'm going to deny your petition.
Yeah, I can bring it up. Matter of fact, Tom, I'll send it to you right now. Give me 1 second.
Okay, please. I'd love to hear it.
This is crazy. This is actually a pretty popular and actually famous example. I'll send it to you through X since X is working because I don't know why I can't
To
really.
X? Okay,
Yeah, I know. I have to
You
do it through
sending it
X
to me, I'll
because
send it to you on Discord. Wait.
please do.
matter of fact, the judge was found guilty of this. Too. It's crazy.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. That's not them, again, that's not them refusing to cooperate,
What they
right,
were
with
refusing, yes. So if you let a criminal out of the back door and not letting an arrest happen, that's a refusal, is that not?
You
what
sent
happened
the
to that
YouTube
person?
video.
Oh
Sure, what happened
shit!
to that person?
You said a single case. I
Sure, what
sent it to
happened to
you,
them?
Tom.
What
Hold
happened
on,
to
hold
them?
on. I sent it to Tom. He could check this out.
Okay,
Well,
what
you
happened to
sent me
the
a YouTube
person?
video,
I
but
see it, he sent it
he's
to me.
aware of the
Well, I
case.
know the case he's talking about,
So
to be clear.
real quick, just for everybody, that the cases where a judge had an immigrant inside the court, 2 ICE officers showed up. The judge had somebody go and escort the ICE officers to another judge, and then she helped the immigrant sneak out the back of the courthouse. So, Wick, what was
Yeah.
your response to this?
So, here's the
How's
thing.
that not
I'll
refusal?
concede that that's the case, but she got arrested for that. She was
Oh
held accountable
shit!
for that, and thus
Fuck, Wick.
hold on.
Yeah,
You're
go ahead,
laughing,
Wick. Go ahead.
but can you understand the difference between a justice who broke the law, getting arrested, going through the process, being found guilty, but when then
Refusing?
ICE breaks the law by defying the courts, they are not held to any account at all.
Can you
You
show me an
understand the
example?
difference here?
You show me an example where ICE broke the law because the article doesn't say that ICE is breaking the law, and it's
Okay,
not
do you
giving
think
a
it's
single
legal
case
to
or any of
defy the
that
courts?
stuff.
Do you think it's legal to ignore a court order? If ICE decides, I don't want to abide by this court order, do you think that they have the legal ability to do so?
If ICE says I don't want to abide by that court
Yes,
order,
the judge orders, hey, this hobbyist petition has come through. I find that the petitioner
cool.
is correct. You should
Can
release
engage.
them now. In your view, does
Can
ICE have
engage
the
with
legal
this.
ability to ignore that order and keep the person detained anyway?
I can engage with this. So here's the thing, though. I can actually agree and concede that yeah, ICE would be in the wrong doing this, but I've yet to see one good example. But when you ask for an example, you've actually known about this, and Tom actually elaborated how a judge was refusing, and you said no, that's not refusal. Letting somebody out of
Do
the
you
back
understand
door
that I
of a
gave you
courthouse.
an article
Hold on.
showcasing
You
many
show me an article
examples,
that gives a broad
hundreds
analysis of something
of
and doesn't cite a
examples?
single case. It's crazy. When I
In
cite a
fact,
single case, an
one
example,
judge
Wait,
cites
Marte,
in the
let
month
him
of January
respond.
alone 96 examples of them defying court orders.
Haven't seen one. You're just making assertions without a demonstration.
I'm not
of
making
any.
assertions. I am providing evidence of what the federal justices are saying. I gave you an article through Tom that sent it to you. If
So
at this
looking up
point
the
you are
article-
refusing to acknowledge that, then I don't know what to tell you. You're just fucking lying.
Hold on. If we look at this, they say that these practices are concerning to suggest that ICE is attempting to hide the location of detainees and all this other stuff. In the midst of judges that were refusing to work with them, who has the jurisdiction here? Judges or ICE that have to detain these people and take them out of the country? Who has jurisdiction here?
Hold on. Can I ask
ICE does.
Can I ask you what that has to do with the question I
ICE
asked?
does. So if the judge had jurisdiction here, she
What
wouldn't
does
have
that
got
have to do-
arrested
Hold
for
on,
refusing.
answer
It would have
my
been the
question.
other way. Hold on,
What
hold
does
on,
that
hold
have
on.
to
Whick.
do with the
If-
assertion I have made
If
or
the
the question
judges
I've
had
asked?
jurisdiction
Wait,
here, the
hold on,
ICE would
Marte,
have been
hold on.
arrested.
You did make your argument. I wanted to let Whick respond.
Sure. That is non-responsive to the assertion I've made, the evidence I've provided, or the questions I've asked. I've asserted and provided evidence that in the month of January alone,
Not proof.
again, the article I sent provides that proof, where a federal
Doesn't have
judge
proof in there.
has said that the ICE has defied the court 96 times in the month of January alone, which is more than some institutions have done in their entire existence. Do you deny that that happened?
But when you say this, when you make
Do you
claims like this,
deny that that happened?
deny that what happens? Repeat it
That
again.
a federal
That
judge
they defied
the
the court
assertion
91 times.
96.
96. Do you deny that the judge is correct, or
No, that
do
the
you agree
judge
that
Can I
that's
see this case? Because I'm hearing it.
it's not an 8 case, it's 96 cases. It's a judge
Okay, where is he
claiming
getting
that
this
they
data from? Where is he getting this information from? Once again, I just want to see it, not
It was
hear
the
it. He's
article
giving
that
you
we
on these
sent.
things.
Worse. I
It was
keep
the
giving you the
source
evidence,
that
and
he
you say,
sent.
"Where are you getting it from?"
Okay, hold on. Let me give me a second. I'm gonna scour through this information real quick. Okay. On to the third paragraph right now, going through still. Saying what they should,
So the
what I
second
should
the
do.
second paragraph says this.
I'm on
the
the
second
should
paragraph.
claim
The
that the
second
article
one.
is
Let me just
making
read
right
it out.
now. I'm
I'll just
still
read it out
waiting
to
for
you.
this. Hold on.
I'll just read it out to you. Okay. The second administration says, but the Trump administration has slow walked or outright defied judges' orders demanding the release of people scooped up by immigration and customs enforcement at an increasingly rapid clip. So when the second paragraph says judges the administration has outright defied judges' orders demanding the release of people, are you countering the article's assertion here? Do you think that that's not true?
So the reason why it's very fallacious for you to bring this up when I point out
I'm
the judges
asking a simple question. I
No.
want a simple answer, but you run. You
Don't
run
think
from
it's
every
no,
single point
it's
I
not
make.
that simple,
You are
Whick,
the
because
fastest
you just
motherfucker
don't want
who is
your
running a
argument
marathon
destroyed.
from
Well,
every
wait,
You don't
single
want
hold
your
point
on,
I
argument
make.
Marte.
destroyed.
You
It's not
engage-
a
Marte,
simple
we would
answer.
have to have an answer. Marte, we would again, like, it's fine for you to give like an explanation,
Tom-
but or to say that you disagree with
I
his
disagree.
argument, but you would have to say no. Yes, I contend with this
I disagree, and I
because
can
X,
explain
Y,
why.
and Z. Okay, go ahead.
I disagree, and I can
So
explain why.
to be clear, just so I'm clear, you're saying that didn't happen.
Didn't happen, and I can explain why.
Okay, explain.
Okay.
Okay, great. Now that we've established this, I can move on to explaining why this whole premise is stupid. So if I
Oh no! You have to explain why that didn't happen.
No, I'm explaining.
You've
You're not
claimed it
letting
didn't
me explain
happen.
it. I'm
Explain.
explaining why it didn't happen.
Provide
the reason why it didn't
evidence.
Okay, go
happen.
ahead.
Okay. Can I
Okay,
even finish
give your
my-
argument first. Go ahead.
So the reason why it didn't happen, and I can say more often than not it didn't happen, and I'll say this right now, is because if there's a whole city that's denying ICE operations from working in that whole city, we can assume that a lot of these judges are refusing to work with law enforcement and federal authorities. So, by proxy, if they're refusing to work with federal authorities, they're going to say that no, they're not working with us. No, it's the other way around. That's crazy.
Or we
Okay,
can't
that
Literally
we
is
had a
can't
whole
not
mayor of a
assume.
responsive
city.
to any of this.
Well,
We had a whole
we can't
mayor of a whole
assume.
city to say not working with ICE. We have an ICE-free zone. That means federal operations can't work within our city. That's the other way around. How is that not, Wick?
It does not follow that
Right.
your assertion that this did not happen just because a mayor made a statement about ice-free zones that is not evidence that when the justices,
It is
multiple
evidence.
justices, have claimed, and this is in multiple locations, have claimed that, hey, the courts are ICE is defying the court. ICE is ignoring our orders. ICE is in contempt of court, right?
Oh, hold
Them
on, hold
saying
on.
that there are ice-free zones has nothing to do with
Would a
that
court be an
claim. It
ICE-free
does not
zone?
wipe away
Would a
that
court,
claim. It is not evidence that
Wick,
that claim is fallacious. It is not evidence that that claim is
it
not
is
happening. It
fallacious.
is non-responsive.
So hold on, Wick. If Mayor Brandon Johnson said the whole city is an ice-free zone, would that not apply to the courts?
Is
It
that
technically
court
doesn't. It
in
said the
Minneapolis?
Technically,
ice-free
it
zone
does.
from.
If the mayor's
So
saying that
real
law
quick, hold on.
enforcement has
Wait.
expanded
Hold
on
on.
order,
Hold on, Marte, hold on. The two things. One, the ice-free zones means that they're saying that they're not allowed to just go do raids and like random pullovers. That they have to
not
have
true.
judicial warrants. Well, that is what it is that they actually put into place. The statement that they put out is that they have to
Oh.
have warrants. But before you go, that is still a different issue from whether or not you disagree that ICE has broken the court orders. That would be a separate issue from that.
To be clear, these are not
So
state courts. They are
I don't
federal
believe
courts.
it's a separate issue. The reason why
Hold
I
on.
don't believe
These
it's
are
a
federal courts.
separate
Hold on.
issue.
Do you know the difference between a federal court and a
Okay,
state
so
court?
both of you guys can go, and we're just gonna. It's like
I
mean,
just
we
want
can,
you to answer one question or engage with one point in good faith. Just one. If we could do that, that'll be a victory for you, a moral victory.
literally
for you.
lied to me twice, but go ahead, Wick.
I've never lied once. Again, do you understand the difference
the
between a
person was
state
thrown
court and
down,
a
but
federal
go ahead.
court? Can a state mayor or governor influence, not influence is probably the wrong word. Can they control a federal court?
Even if they
No.
couldn't,
The answer is no.
even if
So
they
when
couldn't,
a
hold
mayor
on,
or
that
a
makes
governor
no fucking
declares an
sense. What you
ice-free
just
zone,
said,
it does
Wick,
makes
that
no
makes no
difference
sense.
to what a
Wick,
federal
I-
court
I'll show you why your
does or
logic's
does not
faulty and
do.
stupid.
So when
Let me show you why this logic is dumb.
a federal court says that ICE is
Wick,
disobeying our orders,
let me show you why this
citing
logic
a
is
governor
faulty.
or citing a mayor or citing any of that has no bearing on what they're saying. Again,
Let me show
what
you
you're
why
saying
this
is
logic
just
is
not
faulty.
responsive.
Wick, are
to
you just
any of
gonna?
my
Are you
points.
almost done, Wick? Because you're still talking.
Yes.
Yeah,
This is why
Marte,
the
I'm
logic's
still. I would
faulty.
still. We're still waiting for why, like the why this is relevant
This is
to the.
Because I couldn't even get to it. I just want to get to it real quick. I'll be really quick. I promise. Maybe a minute and a half. The reason why is because they've not.
Your mic went out again. Your mic went out again. That was some fucking timing right there, dude. That was some wild timing right there. The reason is because.
So the reason why. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
This only happens on Discord, I swear. The reason why I'm saying that this is an overarching premise by having ice-free zones is because the police have been told to stand down and not work within behest of what the mayor's saying too. So when you say things like the federal court is saying that they can't, whatever, this is beside the point, because if police aren't supporting this and the judges follow suit, guess what's going to happen? You're going to have ice-free zones in courts and on the street and everywhere else. So when you say it's only on the streets and police aren't cooperating, would it not make sense that the judges and the legal system, which is a part of the police as well too, would not follow suit with this? The ice-free zones are an extension of just the streets. I'm just letting
Hold
you know
on,
right now.
wait, Marte, I'm still not understanding how this connects to whether or not ICE officers are breaking court orders, because this isn't just like in one city that a judge is making this claim. These are judges like across the country, according to the article, that have made this claim. And so we're trying to get to a point where, like, even if one city has said that they are an ICE-free zone, and even if there is a rogue judge somewhere in that city, that this wouldn't like apply to whether or not you, like, 96 different times ICE has broken court orders. Like, I'm just trying to get to a point where we can actually engage with this
if we
point.
can overwhelmingly see that Wisconsin's courts and even their judges are kind of opposing this, and even if we look at Michigan, how the police are basically backing down and not supporting them at all. I mean, mind you, Chicago's mayor is supported by not only the extension of law enforcement.
I'm sorry, Marte. I'm really trying to understand, but it's like we're getting really entangled. Is your claim that because there are places that say this, you believe that judges are lying in saying that? Hold on, is it your claim? Hold on. Is it your claim that judges are lying in saying that ICE isn't? That ICE is breaking court orders, or what is the? I still don't get the claim on the breaking of court orders.
Judges are willfully not cooperating with Trump at all. Not only that, but the city and law enforcement, and also the mayor as well too.
I'm sorry, I don't understand what that has to do with whether or not ICE is breaking court orders. We're trying to, like, get.
So if you have, I'll even tie this in real quick. So if you have people that are not cooperating with ICE and saying they're not going to do what we're going to do, but we need them to follow our orders, and even though ICE has prime jurisdiction over apprehending these criminals, guess what's going to happen? They're going to paint a picture and say they're not working with us, even though they refuse to work with ICE. You see how?
So that's what I was. That's what I was asking. That's what I'm asking. So that you're saying that they are lying about ICE breaking court orders. That's what you're saying.
I believe they're not. I believe they're not forthcoming. I agree with that. They're not forthcoming about this because they refuse to work with ICE.
No, not forthcoming. They are. Hold on, wait. I'm sorry. Wait, yes, they are. They would be lying. They are making a claim. They are forthcoming with this information that ICE is breaking court orders.
Wait, hold on. Can you be forthcoming with an omission? Okay, if I don't tell you that I'm working with somebody, but then I tell you that I'm refusing to work with somebody, what's a lie of omission?
Sure, they give me an example of, in this case, where they say,
hold on,
wait, hold on, I'm really trying to get to this.
Like, that's not working with Trump.
Hold on, wait, Marte, in this case, give me an example with this court case where we would say that the judge is saying that judges are saying that ICE is breaking court orders, and there's 96 of them. Give me an example of them lying by omission in this case.
Hold on. I don't even have to give an example of one judge. I can tell you a mayor who's given a direct order to all the officials and everybody else in the city that the city in itself is an ICE-free zone. Would it not logically make sense that if the courts are saying that we're not working with police officers and supporting their back, that judges would follow suit and everybody else in the legal system would not follow suit if police are attached to this
these
legal
are
system
separate things. Why would it ever follow that?
Do judges not work hand in hand with police?
It doesn't matter. These are federal judges across the country saying this.
Hold on. We're talking about courts, period, in the city. The whole city is an ICE-free zone. He's actually told the National Guard, you can't even come in here. The whole city's an ICE-free zone.
Okay. You understand?
You can't even bring anything federal in
works.
there.
The federal judges are not, again,
you're talking about the city,
to a governor or a mayor.
Hold on. That may be true, but we're talking about in the city that's refusing National Guard or anything federal to operate in that
Nothing
city.
about a city refusing National Guard or whatever has anything to do with federal judges across the country claiming
even if that was the case.
ICE has violated court orders 96 times in the month of January.
Even if this was the case that a federal judge said, hey, you guys are to follow our orders, and this whole city as a whole is refusing to work with the Trump administration, even on a federal level, to me, that's refusing directives to work with us, and that's a refusal on their end, not our end. You understand that?
This has nothing to do
It has everything to do.
It does
If
not. Your
Wisconsin,
logic
and
does
if
not
Michigan is
follow.
following suit, and Chicago is doing the same thing, and nobody, even Newsom, isn't working with Trump as an administration because he even said National Guard or anything federal can't operate in my city for the most part. They're literally creating a civil war legally and even politically against Trump to even cooperate with Trump as an administration. The refusal is massively on their end. They don't want to work with us.
I'm going to try one more time.
This is
I
crazy,
don't know
Whick.
what else to do, but I don't know if you understand that
Whick,
federal
you don't
judges
understand my.
are
Go
not
ahead, Whick.
beholden to Newsom. They're not beholden to some random mayor somewhere. They're beholden to Congress. Okay? They're beholden to the executive branch. They're one of the co-equal branches of government. Mayors cannot tell federal judges what to do, right? So they cannot instruct a federal judge to disobey the federal government because it's a federal judge. They have no power over them, right? They don't appoint them, none of that. So when federal judges across the country are reporting that
Whick,
ICE agents and
you're a
DHS
lying piece of
is
shit, and I
fi-
can point this out. They're
hold
lower
on, let me
courts,
finish.
not federal judges. All we need is lower courts to refuse to work with them. The federal judges can say, you know what? We're going to work and we're going to be
Hold on. They're
benevolent. You're
breaking
assuming this.
federal
It's the
court
lower courts
orders.
that are
You
refusing to
understand this,
work with
right?
ICE.
They're breaking federal court orders. The
Yes,
federal court
they're
is saying
breaking
release
federal
these
court
people,
orders.
and they are
Yes, I'm
refusing
glad
to
you got the
release
whole
them.
premise. Yes, they're doing this. This is
So you
crazy.
agree then that the federal courts are ordering ICE agents or ICE and DHS to release prisoners from custody or detainees from custody, and that ICE is refusing to do so. Do you concede that point?
What the fuck are? Look, listen. You know what? I'm gonna be really nice and benevolent and charitable here, and just assume you're being good faith right now because I just told you that the lower courts aren't cooperating with ICE at all. It doesn't matter what the federal courts say if the lower courts
That
aren't
doesn't have anything to
cooperating
do with what I
ICE.
said. Shut the fuck up.
You're
Shut up.
not.
Shut up.
Wait,
It
you're
has nothing to
starting
do.
again.
I'm not talking about the lower courts.
The lower
I'm talking about
courts
federal
aren't
courts.
cooperating with ICE. It doesn't fucking matter, Wick. The lower courts aren't working with ICE. The whole city isn't working with ICE. I can give you states, whole states, matter of fact, Wick. California, Wisconsin, the whole city of Chicago. Matter of fact, we're going with New York next. I predict isn't going to work with Trump either. The whole
Okay, Wick,
jurisdiction
can
of
you
New
get
York.
Wait, can you get a specific example of one of these judges claiming that they didn't, so that we can look at this specific example and see?
A specific example of them define. I'll give you one off the dome. Okay. Do you remember
Oh,
CCOT? Do you remember what happened there? Okay. CCOT was a prison in El Salvador, I believe, that Trump used the Alien Enemies Act to send about 280 guys there. Okay. There's all sorts of abuses and things that went on there in that whole process. But one of them was when they went and the lawyers for these people who were being shipped to CCOT, to a foreign prison, they went before a judge, and the judge said, "Okay, no, we gotta hear these guys out. They need their due process." So they ordered um, them not to, the Trump administration not to fly the planes out. Okay, the Trump administration said, "Oh, we already sent the planes." The judge told them, "Hey, they're in the air, but turn them around and bring them back home." The Trump administration ignored them and did not do that. That is one example off the
no.
dome back from last year.
El Salvador told the United Nations that it was merely providing infrastructure, and basically Trump was arguing, saying that they're under the exclusive control of El Salvador. Like the Trump administration repeatedly told the U.S. courts that it lacked the authority to return the Venezuelans sent
Okay,
to CCOT.
that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking
That's what they
about
were saying, and
before they
that's
got to
true.
CCOT, before they even got there, the judge ordered the planes to not go there, to turn around, and the Trump administration ignored that order.
So, okay, even if, well, hold on. For the grandiose perspective, if we take a bird's eye view with the argument, let's say that we even concede this point. This is a granule of sand in the whole scheme of when you say net negative for the United States in the whole operation that ICE is working in, when I point out whole cities that are refusing to cooperate with Trump. And then not to mention this, but the fact that we have ICE-free zones, we have California as a whole is working with him. New York is next with Mamdani is going to refuse to work with him. And that also applies to the lower courts. They're going to refuse to work with him. This is a civil, basically creating a civil political war in refusing to
I'm
work
sorry,
with Trump. Even
I don't
you
mean
can
to
see that.
interject so much, but I'm having a problem because I'm trying to make sure that the conversation is capable of moving forward, and when we're trying to set a standard of like how he's capable of proving this. Whick has brought up data, whether that's true or not.
Okay,
like he's
great.
brought
I
up
can-
data, but when he brings up the data, you do say that
No,
you
I'll
don't
address
believe
that.
the
I'll
data,
address that.
and so I asked him to give it a specific example, and he gave the specific example, and so it is on me
Do they
because I
have-
am asking him to bring up specific examples here.
Do the courts have
can I just point
authority
out,
over
just real quick?
international affairs when it comes to
Hold on.
international airspace?
Can I just make this clear? What's
Can
happening?
you answer the question? Do judges
Hold
have
on, let
control
me-
over
let
international
me-
space and authority over international affairs?
No, the executive has
Oh
a
shit,
control of
they
executive
don't.
international affairs, but that is
don't. Okay.
not
I
responsive.
just wanted to make sure.
to
That's all.
again, that's not responsive to the point I'm being made. You keep doing this.
No, you
When
said
I'm
that
asked for
they refuse
examples,
judges' orders
I
when the
give you an
judges don't have
example,
authority.
but then you say, "Let me finish." I asked you, you asked for examples, like you got to show me. So I give you an example to show you, and you said, "Oh, look, you're just giving me one example, and that doesn't
No,
showcase that
but I
they
also
keep
throw
doing
that
it."
out
And
and
you keep
demonstrate
doing
how it
this
doesn't.
dodge. You're running.
No,
You're the marathon man.
not
We're gonna
running at
call you
all.
Marte Marathon because you're running a marathon because you run from every single point I make. Okay,
Nope, I'm
Marte
engaging with
Marathon over
this.
here.
I've
That's
engaged
that's your
directly
name
with
now.
that by
That's
saying
what
that
you
they
live
have no
with.
authority,
That's
and
what you're
you've
gonna
even
be.
agreed with that.
But here's the problem that you're having is I
Sure,
can
I'd love to
provide
hear the
evidence and
problem I'm
examples
having.
of what
Go
I'm
ahead, Whick.
saying, and I can show you again and again and again a pattern of behavior from DHS and ICE where, again, this is just breaking court
I
orders.
gave you a direct response to your
well.
example.
But we'll give you, I'm going to even say, even in the case, right, that there's multiple cities, multiple municipalities, multiple states even that are refusing to work with the government. And I believe you use the term civil war or a civil war against the
It's a
government.
political.
Do you think that America is
civil war.
worse off under a civil war?
That's not even analogous to the point.
Okay,
you're
no,
making
can I
right now.
just answer yes or no? Is America worse off under a state of civil Cold War than
I'll be good
if
faith
that
and
didn't
engage with
exist?
it, unlike you.
So
No,
again,
America's not
ICE's
worse.
behavior is
Oh,
leading to
you
this
won't even let me
state,
answer the question.
and
You're gonna ask
therefore,
me a question I can't even answer it.
I'm just
Oh,
talking you
see
through
what
it.
I'm saying?
And
Bad faith. Go
therefore,
ahead. Bad faith. Go
Trump
ahead.
under ICE or ICE under Trump is a net negative for America because it's led to this state of multiple municipalities, cities, governorships, states, etc., refusing to work with the federal government. You
know why
just
that's a
ceded
lie?
the argument.
You know why
by
that's a
your
lie?
argument.
Obama had more deportations, and guess what happened? The right didn't fight him on deporting people or
A
even
marathon
the
man
57
again.
murders.
You're running from every single thing I'm saying. You're not engaging with a
The
single
reason,
goddamn
no,
point. You're a
I'm
marathon
engaging
man.
directly with something that's antithetical to your point right now. So when we could do this by comparison and contrast the Obama administration with higher deportations,
We're not comparing. Nothing within
yes, it
this,
is.
nothing within,
It is.
nothing within the prompt
You understand
brings up
that when
Obama.
you understand that when Democrats are in power,
Hold
the
on.
right doesn't fight
Hold on.
deportations.
We're
But
not
when
arguing whether it was worse off under
no, hold
Obama.
on, no, this is
We're
analogous
not
to
arguing
the
whether it
point.
was worse off under Clinton.
No,
We're arguing whether it
Wait,
was
no,
worse
that's
off
what we're
under
arguing over.
the
You said
Trump
net negative.
administration that
Under
is
Trump
currently
is a net
existing.
negative. That's arguing
Well,
that
yes,
whole
but
point. What are you talking
Marte,
about?
he could believe that Obama was also a net negative though. So it wouldn't really like matter. He could also think that was a net negative.
It does
too.
matter. The reason why it matters is because if we're going to be isolationists and talk about the Trump administration, it's a good model to compare this with something by saying it's not a net negative to something in comparison by demonstrating that this isn't a negative. There's worse off scenarios than this, and it's a positive. Like you have to be able to compare. We can't have a binary debate and say we're only arguing Trump without comparing this to anything else. Therefore, you can't have a good without comparing it to a bad. That doesn't make any sense.
The good we would
Well,
compare.
I'm saying that if he thought
go
that
ahead.
both were bad, it wouldn't matter, and so that's the reason.
Even
I'm
if
saying
he thought,
it
hold
wouldn't.
on, even if he thought both were bad, I can demonstrate why it's good and why they're not refusing by offering a demonstration that if states don't want to cooperate, They were cooperating the whole time during all previous administrations, maybe not the Trump administration before, but now they're not cooperating because this is a left or right thing. It's not because ICE is just creating a political civil war. This is what the left does. The violent left. Yeah.
Thank you for the $30 grants. But just to be clear, okay, my argument here is that if you are saying, okay, that be, the left is doing it, the right is doing it, whoever's doing it, that under Trump, ICE and their behavior, whether you think their behavior is justified or not, doesn't matter. ICE, their behavior has led to people refusing to work with the federal government, and that's bad. Then you have to cede the prompt.
Can you
Then you
demonstrate
have
how
to see the
ICE
prompt that
can you
ICE
no,
under
no,
Trump is a
no.
net negative for America. It
Can
doesn't
you
even have to be
demonstrate
their fault.
Whick, can you demonstrate that this is causation by ICE and not the switching of political
It
parties?
doesn't
Because
have
when
to be
ICE
caused by
hold on,
ICE
answer this question.
for the
Because when
prompt.
ICE
Do you
ramps up their
concede that at least?
numbers,
Do you understand why it doesn't
ho-
have to be caused by ICE
Wick,
to cede to
Wick,
the
this
prompt?
doesn't make any
And to be
sense
clear,
because
this is
when
your
ICE
argument, not mine.
oh, hold
My
on, no,
argument
no,
is
no,
much
no,
more
Wick,
broad.
Wick, Wick,
But even
listen for
under, I'm just
once.
demonstrating real quick.
Can you
Please shut up.
is the
Well,
hoodie
hold on,
company
Please
hold
shut
your
on,
up.
ears
hold on,
ringing?
Please shut up.
wait, hold on,
Please
hold
shut up.
on. Wait, why doesn't it have to be caused by ICE? Why not?
So, as I understand it, the prompt is ICE under Trump is a net negative for America. Is that the prompt? Am I correctly identifying what we've agreed to talk about tonight?
Sure. Okay. So you're saying that it doesn't have to be that like they want to be in that negative or they're trying to
Yes,
be in
or
that negative, but that is
it
just a
could just
descriptive
be a
claim. They
mistake.
just
Yes.
happen to be in that
Yes.
negative, even if they're just screwing
Yes.
up. Okay. So
Yes.
then the Marte, then do you think that these are like with that in mind, whether or not it's on purpose? Do you agree that these are mistakes?
Look, there are mistakes that happen, but when you say net negative, we're talking about a totality argument here by saying overwhelmingly it's more bad than good. Would that be correct?
Yes, it's more bad than good.
Right. So this whole debate, I've been waiting for a demonstration because you've been defending that people should fight in light of ICE, the whole time under this administration, which you're because the
Hold
prompt
on.
says
During this
Trump under
conversation, when
Trump.
have
Hold
I
on,
said
hold on.
that once?
I let you go. I let you talk, but you're being bad faith and interrupting me. I'm almost done real quick.
That's not bad
So
faith.
the whole prompt says under Trump, which symbolizes the fact that under this administration, there for some reason there's a difference. When I can present you examples when ICE has had a polarizing example of increased activity of deaths, of deportations, and they don't riot, they don't fight ICE. How odd is that? You have to be able to compare this to something instead of having an isolated binary argument and just saying just Trump. That's crazy. But you still have to
Okay.
demonstrate it's because of ICE.
Real quick, we're gonna go for about 5 more minutes. If you guys are able to, on YouTube, if you go to fan funding in your chat, if you can just screenshot like super chats and send them to me, that would be helpful. And then again, guys, if you want to send super chats, also, we started pretty late. Are you guys able to
I can
go
go
over
for
a bit?
until we're done.
Okay.
Whatever you need.
And then, yeah, if people want to hop on and ask quick questions, you guys can jump in the waiting room in the Discord. The link to my Discord is in the description of my video, or you can put exclamation point Discord in the chat, and that'll put it there as well. But, okay, so Wick, on the totality of ICE
Are we giving
being
closings
bad,
now, or
I was
just
gonna
be
say
clear?
that we'll go for another 5 minutes before that, and then we'll get to
And then
closings. But
closings. So this isn't closings. This is me just answering your question. Okay, fair enough. I just want to make sure.
yes, yeah. So on the
I didn't ask the
totality
question yet.
part, what is your? He's saying that he still hasn't heard something that says that there is more bad than there is good.
Right.
What is your best argument for there being more bad than good?
Sure. So my argument is that the degradation of our civil liberties through the abuses that ICE has done to the court system and to our civil rights, such as violating our First Amendment and Fourth Amendment, right? And as a matter of policy, that they do this, to be clear, right? That this is worse, and any amount of deportations 10 million. You can push a button and deport every single illegal immigrant that has ever been in America, and it would still not overcome the harm that is done to our republic through the degradation of our civil liberties that ICE has been doing, and the degradation of our courts that ICE has been doing. And the evidence I have put forth is the memo. I think I sent you that in a link. The violation of court orders, the violence and brutality that ICE has engaged with, not only with immigrants, but also with citizens, that we could go through if we like. And DHS consistently lying not only to the public, but to the court, which degrades trust in our institutions. That, again, deport all the immigrants if you want, right? All the illegal immigrants that you want. It still would not make up the harm that is done from these incidents. That's my argument.
Okay, so Marte, if we assumed everything he's saying here is true, right? Let's just pretend for a moment. I know that you disagreed with it throughout, but if we pretended that everything he said here was true, all the examples that he gave are factual and you believe in them, would you say that that does qualify ICE as a net negative?
No, I don't believe it qualifies ICE as a net negative, but let me explain why. Let's say that there's like, could I even ballpark a figure with you that you would agree with, Wick? Let's say that there's 90 killings, right? Meaning, like in
Hold
the
on,
process.
can you? It's hard to hear you. Can you repeat that number?
You are going in and out a little bit.
Let me try to fix this. So give me 1 second. Real quick.
Yeah,
Yeah, try to
it's hard
reset it
hear.
again real quick.
Okay, can you hear me? How am I sounding?
Yeah, that's
Too
better.
low?
I do have a follow-up question, so try to make it quick because I do have another question.
Okay, like even if we agree to a ballpark figure of like 70 or something, I'll be even charitable by saying this. During violent apprehensions that we've had, and we've taken people out and shot them in the order of doing our duties in apprehension, and 70 suspects and criminals died in the process of doing this. I would even say net negative. Trump arrested 400 to 600K in 1 year. Biden barely managed 1K. Now, when you say that the deportations don't matter, that's also an accumulation. We're talking about net. Net is an accumulation of all the duties and responsibilities that ICE is supposed to do. Now, when you throw this out, what you're doing is very sneaky by smuggling in. No, throw out the deportations. Okay, yeah, if you do by that metric, yeah, the argument would be more, the burden would be more on my side, and you'd be winning the argument. But unfortunately, what is the duty of ICE? To have deportations happen, to get illegal criminals off the street. In line of this duty, deaths are going to happen, especially with people resisting arrest. That's going to happen. But even then, you're talking about harm to people who are either resisting or not complying with law. That's going to happen when we're amping up more arrests. That means that this is going to continue, and I fully support it. I don't think it's a net negative, and I don't see the demonstration provided in this as a whole.
Okay, so you
said you
said
had a
that like even
question
if
for
we
me?
said that it was something like 90 or something like that, right? So if we say the number is somewhere around 90, and you're comparing this to deportations and the good that we get from deportations, if it turned out that illegal immigrants kill 80 people per year, but in the process of deporting illegal immigrants, ICE happened to kill 90 citizens or immigrants in the process of deporting them, would you say that ICE in that case would be a net negative? Yes or no?
I would say that if they killed 90
Or sorry.
people,
That was for Marte, and then I'm gonna come to you.
So
Sorry.
I'll answer this. When you say 90, that's a really low number. When you talk about the criminals and doing all this, they actually do way more crime and do way more harm than just killing people. You're talking about like molestation.
Sure, I'm giving you a hypothetical, and I'm asking you yes or no. Would you agree that that was?
It's a crazy hypothetical. The reason why I think the hypothetical is crazy is because when you say this, you're using a very small number for an exacerbated.
No, I'm
issue
giving.
that's
Hold
causing
on,
more
sorry.
problems.
I'm just trying to understand where your line is. So I'm giving you a hypothetical to understand where your lines are, because you use
So you're looking for a
deportations as
threshold.
like yes, because you use
You're looking for a
deportations as like a
threshold, right?
really great good that outweighs so many things, and so I'm wanting to understand in this specific case, would you consider that to be a net negative?
in totality, let's say that there's 90, right? Which is if we can reduce down to 90, it would be a dream. Let's say that it's 90.
So do you think we're killing
I
90
think, yeah,
civilians?
you can laugh all you want to, Wick. That's
Hold
fine.
on.
I
Do
know
you
you're
think
talking
that
on your whole
that's
statement.
happening?
So
That
here's the
ICE is
thing, though.
killing.
Hold on.
ICE isn't killing 90
Tom, can
civilians
you mute
now.
this guy? This guy fucking talks when I talk, but I don't talk when he talks. So
Sure,
listen,
if
this
you
is the
can,
thing that I'm gonna say.
I did want like a yes or no. The explanation is fine as well, but I am trying to get an answer on whether or not you think that that would be a net negative.
So let me go ahead and try to stillman what you just said, or you can repeat it because he interrupted me and I kind of say it again real quick. Can you be concise?
The question is, if I'm trying to get a yes or no to this. If there are 80 murders from illegal immigrants per year, and in 1 year, ICE happens to kill 90 people, citizens, immigrants, whatever, but they kill 90 people in the process of doing their jobs to deport these illegal immigrants, would you say that ICE in this case is a net negative? Yes or no?
No.
No. Okay,
And I
so
can explain why.
yeah, so what is the thing that is outweighing the proportionality of deaths being higher?
So when we look at who and why, I think that's extremely important for this stark example that we're going to bring up. So in light of the last 2 deaths that we've had that were non-illegal aliens, I think that the resistance and also the justification of these, because they were also let go and justified by use of force boards. When we say this, there also has to be a justification of this. So if you have people resisting arrest, and these are violent criminals or even criminal illegals, I don't see how that's a negative if they were taking crime off our streets and then people who are also threatening officers' lives in the performance of their duties, like Renee hitting the person and causing brutal injuries to his side hitting with the car. I don't think that that's a bad thing because she asked for that. She literally asked for all this to happen. She didn't ask for this, but she wouldn't have been harmed if she didn't put herself present and resist directives. So that's going to happen when you resist law enforcement.
Okay, so Wick, same question. If there were 80 murders per year from illegal aliens and ICE officers happened to kill 90 people in the process of trying to deport these illegal aliens, do you think that that by itself, discounting court orders, rights, all those other things, do you think that by itself would make this a net negative?
And to be clear, these would be unjustified killings, correct?
Let's say there's a mixture of like 80-20. 80 just,
80
20
which
unjust.
Way? Okay, 80 just, 20 unjust. That in and of itself, I just need to know more information because the amount of people being killed does not suggest to me necessarily the policy being improper or the policy being unconstitutional. My negative here would be
Well,
if
that's why I said void, like, court
sure.
orders being violated, rights being
Not
violated, things
necessarily
like that,
is the
because
answer. Not necessarily. I'd have to know more, but
okay.
not necessarily. Not just that. Just that would be insufficient.
Okay. So for you, the fact that they are trying to deport people, this is still a necessity to you that
Yeah,
these
deporting
sorts
people is
of like
fine. I think that
negatives.
I'm not against deporting illegal immigrants. No.
Okay. And okay, so Marte, actually, Wick. So with that said, your main thing is rights violations, correct? Like rights violations, breaking the law,
I don't think that
things like that.
I don't think that deporting illegal immigrants in and of itself is a bad thing. In fact, it could be a good thing. I am for deporting violent illegal immigrants. I think that's a great thing. But the question is, how are we doing that? We can all acknowledge that we can do a good thing, but if we do it in a bad way, that the harm can outweigh of how we did it can outweigh what we actually did. And that's my entire argument, is that the harm of how ICE is operating is outweighing any good that they are doing.
Okay, and then Marte, for you, earlier I asked if it was true that all of these people that they had broken all of these court orders, that ICE had broken all those court orders, if this would be enough for you to believe that this was a net negative. You still said no. So at what point would you feel as though there are enough, like unjustly, breaking court orders. We don't think that like judges are lying about this or anything, but that is true that they are actually breaking court orders. You still said that you don't think that this would be a net negative, or that ICE would be a net negative. So what would it take? Give me an example of something that you would say this is an example of this is an example of evidence that would show to me that ICE is a net negative.
I'll even use something that my opponent purportedly kind of brought up. He said that people are going into people's houses without warrants. That one good example, if he had like showed me evidence and said, okay, there's probably like 150 cases in doing this and it's ramping up, and let me show you this, how it's a pattern of this happening, and that's demonstrably true. I'd say, oh shit, they're actually engaging in true lying and dishonest. But when you bring up things like a Twitter account and then semantics upon how it's perceived and there's arrest, that's crazy. It's not even lying. That's just perception, approach to determine response.
So what
Like
what if instead of the examples of that actually happening, instead he had an example of like Christine Nome sending out an email to everybody saying, hey guys, we're going to start serving search warrants and going into houses without judicial warrants. Would that by itself be enough of a systemic problem there for you?
Oh, that's blatant. That's basically like, I mean, that's the smoking gun right there for sure.
Okay, so Whick, do you have an example of something of this? You sent something to me. Okay,
the link right after Politico.
Here we go. Far stretching the limits of credulity
from
here,
NBC
Whick.
News. ICE says it's
NBC News.
to
Okay, I
forcibly
see
enter
this.
homes during immigration operations without judicial warrants.
You're going to use a biased left-wing news organization. Let's view it. Crazy.
Okay, so
Crazy
I'm gonna
work
pull
here,
up a
Whick.
share screen again.
Please do. Can you zoom in?
This is it hasn't even loaded yet. It's still on.
Oh, I see it on my end.
It's still on Politico.
Hey Tom, I gotta piss.
Okay, there
I'll
we
be
go.
right back.
Okay,
yeah,
just
I'll
don't
look at this
turn
real
off
quick.
your cam, please. Okay, it says ICE says its officers can forcibly enter homes during immigration operations without judicial warrants. 2025 memo. The policy was revealed in May 12th memo. Whistleblowers shared with U.S. Senator.
Can you send that to me?
Yes. Okay, sent. I'll read just a little bit of this real quick.
It's got to be
an
from
internal
NBC, so
immigration.
it has to be true.
Well, we can try to see if there's like further evidence on this, or if there's something that you have that would go against this for sure. An internal immigration and customs enforcement document in May shows that ICE told officers and agents they can forcibly enter homes of people subject to deportation without warrants signed by judges. The memo dated May 12th, which reads that it is from ICE Acting Director Todd Lyons, was shared with Senator Richard Blumenthal, Democrat from Connecticut, by two whistleblowers. It says ICE agents are allowed to forcibly enter a person's home using an administrative warrant if a judge has issued a final order of removal. Administrative warrants permit officers and agents to make arrests and are different from judicial warrants, which judges or magistrates sign allowing entry into homes. Lyons notes in the document that detaining people in their residence based solely on an administrative warrant is a change from past procedure. Okay, so real quick, Whick, what is the difference between an administrative warrant and a judicial warrant? Because in this case, it is saying that the administrative warrant is still signed by a judge. So what if they're given permission by a judge? Okay, go ahead.
Just to be clear, no, you're wrong. An administrative warrant is not signed by a judge. It is signed by could be anyone. It could be a fellow ICE agent, a fellow ICE officer. A judge does not sign those administrative warrants. A judicial warrant, and it's in the name, is signed by a judge.
Oh, sorry, it did say. I'm sorry, it does say and are different from judicial warrants, which judges or
Yes.
magistrates sign,
And the judicial
allowing
warrants,
entry
they
into
have
homes. Okay.
you need probable cause to get one, right? And they sign off. You present your probable cause. You sign off. They sign off that there is probable cause and allows agents, whether they be police agents, ICE officers, whatever, to enter a private residence without the permission of that private resident owner, right? There's a process for this. They go through it. What ICE is doing here, which is a change from the normal procedure, is they're saying we don't need a judge to sign it. We can simply sign it ourselves. And it bypasses that whole process that is meant to protect the citizen from improper searches, seizures, improper violations of your privacy, etc. It's a violation of the Fourth Amendment.
So, so these are like a last order of deportation, and then not to mention this, Tom. I've also debunked this. What is the matter of fact? Can I get the date of the article? Let me
Yes,
look because I'll get the date.
article, yeah,
January
the
21st,
article,
2026.
It says 2025 memo. But then if you
Yes, it
look
was
at the
done in
link I
May. They
sent,
made it.
right, correct. But I just sent a link from DHI correcting that matter, and that's post February 4th. They actually responded to that, which debunks your whole fucking dumbass claim. Matter of fact, Tom, I sent it to you through X, and all this shit debunks everything that he just said. I gotta piss
okay,
real
so it
quick while
says
his shit's being
DHS.
Yes.
debunked.
Yeah, go
Send it
ahead,
to
go
me.
ahead.
DM it to me on Discord.
I will. Okay, so it just to be clear, this is something that is on the DHS website. So this isn't
Yeah.
posted by
While
somebody
he
else. This
brings
is
up
posted.
Okay, you
NBC,
just
I
sent me
bring
what
up
I sent you.
DHS.
Send me what he sent me.
Yeah, I'm gonna piss while his shit gets debunked right now. I'll be right back.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm real scared to get the debunkings.
Okay,
Thank you.
let me share this screen again while I read this. Okay. So this one says, this is on, as I said, the Homeland Security website. It says DHS sets the record straight on administrative warrants and American public support of President Trump's deportation of illegal aliens. Washington Department of Homeland Security, DHS, is debunking several of the mainstream media's false narratives related to the use of administrative warrants to arrest illegal aliens, as well as the notion that most Americans do not support immigration enforcement. Administrative warrants matter for national security. In recent weeks, the media has falsely claimed that the use of administrative warrants by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, to arrest illegal aliens with final order of removal at their homes is a violation of the Fourth Amendment. DHS General Counsel James Percival explained the constitutionality and legal precedent behind the use of such warrants to arrest illegal aliens in a recent op-ed for the Wall Street Journal. One, every illegal alien who DHS serves administrative warrants, known as I-205S, has had full due process and a final order of removal from an immigration judge. The officers issuing the administrative warrants also have found probable cause.
Can we stop right there?
Yeah,
Hooked.
that seems to be where the...
Yeah, you
Okay.
just got
seems-
cooked, Wick. Called the fuck out. Anyways, let's
So
move
let me
on.
hold on. Just a question. If the Supreme Court of the United States contradicts this, will you cede this debate?
This comes from the
Okay.
HSI directly.
Sure. Who
So even if we
has
said the
more
Supreme
authority
Court,
to interpret the law?
hold on.
It's a simple
This is
question.
fucking stupid, Wick.
Who has
Your
more
whole
authority to
shit, just
interpret the
throw it
law?
out, bro.
DHS or the Supreme Court of the United States?
Say
Simple
it
question.
again.
Who has more authority to interpret the law? DHS or the Supreme Court of the United States? Who has final authority? If DHS
Hold on.
disagrees with the
Well,
Supreme
now we're
Court of
getting
the
into
United
like
States, who wins?
this isn't a yes or no. This is a semantics thing. I have to explain this.
It's a simple,
the
it's a
Sup-
binary choice.
No, it's not a binary because the Supreme
No,
Court
no,
leaves it up to
I'm
the
going to ask
states
it
for the
again.
states to
It's the
decide
Supreme
how
Court
to
of the
do
United
Well,
States.
wait, hold on. The problem is that number 2 says, for decades, the Supreme Court and Congress have recognized the propriety of administrative warrants in cases of immigration enforcement. So
But
this
not in
does
cases of
cite.
breaking
Yeah.
into people's homes. And I can
Exactly,
cite the
Wick.
Supreme Court cases which show that you cannot break into people's homes without a judicial warrant, except for in a couple
No.
exceptions, none of which are covered by this.
This is covered. So you're saying that
You don't even know. You don't even know.
You're saying
the
DHS
exceptions.
is lying about this on the article. Are they lying?
Yes, DHS is
Oh,
lying.
you're saying, can you prove to me that they're
Yes,
lying?
I can prove that they are lying.
Demonstrate that they're lying on their damn site. Go ahead, Wick.
Sure.
I'd fucking love to see this shit.
Here, let me read the
Peyton
next
versus
couple
New York.
lines real quick.
Your
Just real
evidence
quick
just got
before
fucking cooked
before
right now.
hold on, wait.
This
Before
shit.
you do, hold on. Before you do, there's 2 more lines that I want to read real quick on this. So it says, under federal immigration law, officers may issue an administrative warrant, which means that the probable cause finding is made by an executive branch officer rather than a judicial officer. This is consistent with broad judicial recognition that illegal aliens aren't entitled to the same Fourth Amendment protections as U.S. citizens. It is also consistent with the Supreme Court's admonition that the touchstone of the Fourth Amendment is whether the search or seizure is reasonable, not whether it is supported by a judicial warrant. So, okay, go ahead.
So can I
Thank you.
debunk this
That's
now?
such a
Fairly
good statement
clearly
to
and prove
hear.
that DHS is lying. So, Supreme Court, 1980, Peyton versus New York. The court held that police must obtain a warrant to search a suspect's home to make a routine felony arrest, absent consent or exigent circumstances. This established that warrantless, non-consensual entry into a home violates the Fourth Amendment. Stigald versus United States, 1981. Extending Peyton, the court ruled that a warrant is required to enter a third party's home to search for a suspect, even if there is an arrest warrant for the suspect. This debunks the DHS's claim that even though they have an order of removal, that they don't need a judicial warrant. They still do. Okay? This protects the privacy interests of non-suspects.
You've conceded this.
Welsh versus Wisconsin,
You've
1984.
conceded
The
this.
court emphasized that warrants are presumptively required for home entries, limiting exigent circumstances exceptions to serious offenses and rejecting them for minor ones, like non-jailable traffic violations and things like that. Johnson versus United States in 1948, an early foundational case stressing that warrants must be issued by a neutral and detached magistrate rather than law enforcement to prevent improper intrusions into homes. So
Wick.
the 1948 case debunks that ICE agent who has, again, they're not neutral, they're not detached. They can't
Wick, in
issue
this
these
case,
warrants.
are they talking about police
So I
or
gave you
federal
4.
agents?
I gave you 4 Supreme Court
No,
cases
hold on.
that
I'm gonna
debunk what DHS
no,
is
that's not debunk.
lying
Hold
about
on.
there. And the
Let
fact
me
that they have
question your
lied
claims
to
that
you
you're making that are bullshit.
demonstrably, that I've shown
Hold
you in
on.
4K,
Talking over me
right, that
doesn't
they
help
are
in the debate.
lying.
Okay, yeah, Wick,
Right?
let
It's
him
further
respond.
evidence to my overall
Yeah,
point.
Wick's not letting. Wick is crazy. So here's
Yeah,
the thing,
right.
though.
Crazy.
Let
You
him
keep trying
respond.
to interrupt
The
me while
state
I'm
that you
talking.
made, the statement
Well,
that you
Wick,
made.
hold on,
in
hold
that
on, Marte.
case-
Wait, hold on, Marte. Wick, wrap it up real quick. Land quickly, please, so he can
Well,
respond.
that's the point. The fact that the DHS is lying about this is further evidence my claim that they're eroding our civil liberties and looking to violate our civil rights.
Okay,
And
Marte,
these
go ahead.
4 Supreme Court cases justify this.
Okay.
So in that case that you brought up, were they talking
Which
about
one?
police or federal agents?
Which case?
Hold on.
He
Which
brought up
case?
4 different ones.
The last one that you brought up and you cited the date. Remember you had brought a date?
I cited the date for all of them. Are you talking about the 1948 one?
The first one. Let's go with the first one.
Okay, Peyton versus New York, 1980.
Was
What about
that against police, local state police?
Yes.
Okay, then it doesn't apply. Throw the whole fucking shit out. Anyways,
Hold on. You understand how
next to
precedent
this,
works?
hold on. The whole shit's fucking moot. It doesn't make any sense because when we're talking about different authorities, we're talking about different jurisdiction. That doesn't even fucking apply. So you went on a whole fucking rant for no reason, Wick. Back to this. When it comes to federal authority, there's a difference in authority and jurisdiction that they have compared to regular state police. Now, federal authority can supersede state in all this. I understand that, but your case is only sided with local state police. That's it. This is asinine.
It says that an agent of the state, whether it be federal or whether it be local, needs a judicial warrant. Otherwise, right? Because the Fourth Amendment applies to federal
Oh, you're not
agents
going with the
just as much as
case.
they
I
do to
asked for the
state
case,
agents.
not the
Would you
amendment.
accede to that?
When I asked for the case, I
Oh,
didn't
will you
talk about the
cede to that?
amendment.
When
Now you're conflating two
The
things.
Fourth
Hold
Amendment
on.
protects you
No,
from
this is very
unreasonable search
dishonest
and
of you to do
seizure
this.
and
I,
warrantless
I'm
entry to a
Tom.
resident from
I'm
both federal,
Tom. I'm asking him
state.
about the case, not the amendment. You see how he's conflating the two now?
Well, the case
In
is
that
about the
case,
amendment. It's not conflation,
nope. These two things can exist separately. In that case, it
but they do
applied to
not.
state and local police. Now, the amendment, I'll agree with that, but in that case, it only applies to state police.
It does
Does it
not
not?
Wait,
only apply to
hold
state.
on. Wait, let me clarify, Marte. So he's saying that the case is talking about whether or not this law applies to the Fourth Amendment, correct?
Well, they can appeal to the Fourth Amendment to address state police in this case. Yes, I can agree to that, but overwhelmingly, this doesn't mean that they're talking about federal authority in that specific case.
So from my understanding, like the ARC case on the Fourth Amendment where they talk about what what is it, jurisdiction thereof, and they talk about whether or not like immigrants have the same rights versus citizens versus people. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, so in this case, they're making a decision on like local schools and whether or not somebody will go to the local school. But that decision, based on how they interpreted the Fourth Amendment, then literally applied to everything that concerns the Fourth Amendment. Are you saying that there's a distinction here between like
So
state
if
and
we're
federal as far as the Fourth Amendment is interpreted, or
so would a third party be a non-involved party?
It needs to be a third. Like in what context?
So here's the thing, though. If we're talking about this specific case involved, and I'm going to dial this down real quick. If we're talking about the specific case, and I understand that we can appeal to this amendment for that, but that case did not involve federal authorities and doesn't apply to federal authorities because they were not involved in this case. And it's kind of a moot point when you're saying, well, just because of an issue with state police and state authorities, that's who we were dealing with in this case. Now you're saying that it applies to federal authorities too?
Yes, that's
In
how the
that
law
okay, hold
specific
on,
works.
case?
hold
It
on,
That's
applies
crazy.
hold on,
if
hold
they
on,
did-
hold
if
on.
it
Wait.
You
didn't-
see how
Wick,
confusing
Go
this
ahead.
is?
your
when you're
hold
trying to
on, wait,
conflate
wait,
the
wait,
two?
hold on. So Wick, your claim is that this is a decision that is
This
setting
case applies
precedent for
to
the
the
Fourth
government.
Amendment, correct?
The
You're saying
government's
this is a
relationship to the Fourth Amendment. Yes.
okay, so it is about the Fourth Amendment. Okay, so and he's
Yes.
just saying that this sets precedent for the Fourth Amendment. So this would literally
Mhm.
apply to anybody. It's not about the decision itself. It's
The
about the precedent
military,
that
it
it
applies
sets
to
as far as
all.
how we. It's just about how we interpret the Fourth Amendment and how these things apply as far as citizens' rights, not like
Yeah.
whose jurisdiction it is, but as far as what
It is
our
in this
rights
case,
are as
and it is
citizens.
this. Yes, just let me explain for a moment. It is what s- the catalyst for this case was local police, state police, I believe. However, right, the catalyst or what they were actually asking was again, what conditions are sufficient to satisfy the Fourth Amendment's requirements? And it established that you need, again, absent exigent circumstances, that if you don't have a warrant and it's non consensual, then it violates the Fourth Amendment. A
So hold
judicial
on.
warrant, to be clear.
So Tom, you notice how he said citizens' rights? Are these citizens that ICE is really mainly dealing with?
Well, we're talking. That's why I brought up the art case as well, is because well, that's not why,
Right.
but the art
That's why I
case
brought that
does
up.
say that the citizens and immigrants have the same rights. That like it uses the term people in the Fourth Amendment, and so it's in the ARC case specifically says that this immigrant child doesn't lose any rights as far as the Constitution goes,
And just to be
because
clear,
the Constitution says people,
Due
not
process for
citizens.
non-citizens is
a
different from
housekeeping
citizens.
issue right here. I
Well,
have about
process
wait,
is
wait, wait,
15
hold on,
or
wait.
no.
Just before you, I go ahead. Wick.
Yeah,
Wick,
I have 15 minutes left, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
And I have to go.
Okay, so I'll just respond to what it was you were saying, Marte, just as far as that goes. The fuck, I totally just lost what your
Oh, I
what
thought
your
I
last
thought I lost
statement was.
internet. I was like,
Shit.
did you guys
No, my bad.
disconnect?
I do you
Okay.
remember what your last statement was, Marte?
Yeah, so he said citizens last time. So I want to ask a question to Wick here.
Well,
if he
wait,
can
wait,
be-
we gotta wrap it up. I did just want to answer your
All right,
question.
I'll wrap it up.
But
Are we doing closing statements?
well, yes, we're gonna do closing statements real quick. We got somebody in the waiting room, and then I'll read questions as quickly as possible. So, we had Wick go first last time, and Marte, you went second. So this time we will have Marte go first and Wick go last.
Wait, there was the last time that me and Wick debated with you?
He's talking
No,
about
the-
the
for
opening
intros.
statement versus the closing statement.
Yeah, for intros,
Oh,
we
you're
want to
talking
flip
about
them
this.
around for how they went. Yeah, so go ahead. 4 minutes at max. Try to do them quickly, and then we'll get to questions. Go ahead, Marte.
So here's the thing about my opponent, Wick. He agrees with me, but he also disagrees with me, which is counterproductive and counter to his argument. When I say that Trump has basically had a blistering 393,000 deportations within his second terms, his first year alone, then my opponent says, well, that's not what we're talking about here. That doesn't matter. That's not tangential. Yeah, I support it. Then all of a sudden says that no, it's an overwhelming net negative. Well, hold on. If he's setting record levels of successes and also criminal, I would say, arrest during this time, we can say that that's a success. I was looking for a net negative in this whole argument. Haven't heard a demonstration of this. He cited several incidents where I can point out bad apples and things, even if I concede this, and even if we can concede the whole thing with the Tren Agua gang, whatever that thing that was happening. I'm not going to dive into that. But it's like, even if I do concede all this, but the success level of the arrest and the direct, I would say the targeted arrest are more successful. And there's 60 deaths. They would be deaths of people who either violently assaulted law enforcement or resisted arrest or illegal aliens. I don't see how that's even a net negative if we're eliminating crime and scum off the streets. And also, these shootings were justified by a use of force committee and use of force boards, and also cleared. Yeah, sure, the optics nightmare may be a bad thing for the public headline test. But here's the thing, though. He doesn't want me to bring up the fact that this administration with ICE was more successful in doing targeted arrest and criminal arrest and deportations than previous administrations where Obama was separating families and leaving kids here alone, and their detention centers were worse, almost like animal shelters compared to Trump's. We can overwhelmingly see videos of the kids being held in basically what looks like safe havens with basketball hoops and all this. They look like daycare centers compared to Obama's and everything else above that. He doesn't want me to talk about this because you have to compare something to something else in order to say it's bad. Bad compared to what? This isn't a binary argument. This is an argument that I can demonstrate that Trump is an overall good. He's literally conceded the whole prompt and said, yeah, it's good. I support deportations. Why is ICE here? Oh, deportations, the massive thing. The fact that these deaths have happened in the line of duty, we can look at these. There are people that have arrested. Renee Good hit the officer. These other illegals, some of them were basically PDF files that people have stopped becoming like from hampering these arrests. The fact that the liberal left is defending the arrest of PDF files is bad in itself, and traveling all the way from Missouri to do this. Yeah, you've had an 8-hour drive to think about whether or not you should refuse to do this or waste your time, but you're literally engaging in hampering the arrest of criminals and detaining from getting off the streets who are violating the 13-year-olds in our states and committing crimes and all this. It's just egregious the fact that he's defending literally PDF files from being taken off the street and saying that F ICE, F ICE. yeah, cool. If we do this and NIS takes their place, guess what's going to happen? Because Trump's the administration, he has a beef with Trump and not the hand that's taking out these deportations. That's literally what his whole arguments is. Fight ICE, fight them, arrest them. I'll sit in the comfort of my own home and tell you to fight them, but I won't do it myself. This is just the diary of a madman that we've heard in this whole debate. Somebody who won't have the guts to even fight them himself. He'll stay in the comfort of his own home, tell other people to die on his behalf by resisting arrest and fighting law enforcement. But this is what you have on his end. There hasn't been an argument I've heard that was a net negative in ICE's behalf. Still waiting for this. And even the evidence that he brings up has been debunked by DIH's site specifically. And it's like we move forward and it's like I haven't heard a compelling argument. I'll end it there.
All right. Thank you, Marte. Wick.
So, I think that I have made a compelling case that ICE is consistently violating not only immigrants' rights, but citizens' rights, violating the First Amendment of the Constitution, violating the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution, not just a few bad apples, but policy, by by design. In the Trump administration and their policies and how ICE is acting is destroying our civil rights and civil liberties. I've given several examples. We've shown several examples on screen. We've went through piece by piece, line by line, showing that DHS has lied. They lied about the Preddy shooting. They lied about the Good shooting. They lied in that debunking that happened. It was, again, contrary to the Supreme Court precedent. And we have shown that, and I trust that the audience can see that. I also trust that the audience can see that Marathon Marte has run from every single point I have made. He has refused to engage in a single thing that I have said, instead using deflection, dodging, not bringing up any single points, refusing to understand that while you can do a good thing by deporting people, if in the process of doing that good thing, you are destroying much more, that it makes the outcome net negative. And that is my argument. Thank you for having me, Tom. Thank you for being here, Marte. I do appreciate it. But at the end of the day, fuck ICE.
All right. Appreciate it, guys. And thanks for coming on and doing the debate. Hope you guys were okay with the moderation. I am a bit more active in my moderation, especially later in the debates to try to get
House. Your room.
questions answered. So, all right, we're gonna pull in the first person, and we'll try to make this quick. We got about 2 minutes.
I got 10 minutes. So, I get 10.
NWO, make ask your question quickly, please. Yeah, we hear you.
Civil liberty. Can you hear me? All right.
Yes, we hear you. Go ahead, ask your question.
I noticed I'll give Whick credit. I didn't hear any ad hominem attacks from him. But I want to ask him about his civil liberties. Does that go the same with Harris and Biden telling the DLJ to deplatform and censor people that went against COVID-19 official statements like they did? Do you have a problem with that one too?
Do I problem?
All right, I'm gonna let Wick answer, but I am gonna go ahead and let you go, NW. I appreciate you coming on and asking the question, man.
Oh, okay. I wanted to hear his response. But in the case of Biden and Harris's DOJ, what happened here is that FBI agents and things would alert Twitter and alert Facebook and alert other social media organizations to possible violations of their TOS, right? I do kind of have a problem with that, and that does bring up some First Amendment issues, but it is a far cry from what he said happened, which is they directed them to deplatform them. That is not what happened. I just wanted to set the record straight. Now, it's still kind of a jawboning thing, right? And that does bring up some First Amendment issues, but it's a far cry from how it's presented. So if your question is, do I have issues with it? Some, but I don't think you presented it correctly. That's my answer.
Okay. W, WTF over 2 for $2 super chat said immigration judges are part of the executive branch. Thank you. The Trib for $5 said, by the way, at least 32 people have died in custody, in ICE custody in 2025 per AI overview. This doesn't involve Renee Preddy. It doesn't involve aggressive encounters. Thank you, Trib. Trib also for another $5 said, for Marte, how does ICE get held accountable if you feel not one court in America can fairly judge them? Is it up to Trump? What is the remedy? Quickly, Marte, what is the, how would people be held accountable if not by courts? Oh, I'm so sorry. Hold on. I muted you a minute ago because you had a bunch of background noise pop up. Go ahead.
Well, this is a tough conundrum to find out who's at fault here, especially when you have whole states agreeing that they're not going to work with the Trump administration. That's tough, but we do have internals as far as recruiting, like our DE agent, Linda, on my side, who did work use of force boards, and they have no incentive to help ICE because they're externally promoted to help suss out some of the liabilities we have on our end. Internal investigations happen all the time. That's the best we can do. But in regards to a political civil war, my best guess is as good as yours, to be honest with you. It's tough.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna pull in the next caller real quick. Flog, thank you for coming on. What was your question?
Okay, hi. My one question is for Marte. Just regarding ICE, DHS in general. Do you not find it like kind of problematic that the DHS has consistently lied, right? Like Alex Preddy, Renee Good, even regarding like the kid with the bunny ears hat, like how he was detained, they've consistently lied. Don't you find it a little more difficult to trust them when they say, "Hey, totally hand wave away the fact that we've been using administrative warrants to just like kick down doors and like come after people that we think are illegal"?
All right, thank you, Flog.
Okay,
We're
when you
gonna
say
let you
kick
go,
down
and we'll
doors,
let. Well, yeah, if you want to clarify it, go ahead.
I'm using that hyperbolically, like not literally, but like they're using that to essentially enter people's homes and detain people
so
instead
when
of
you say
judicial
that
warrants.
so when you say that DHS lied, I brought up the DHS site when they set the record straight, dismantling his whole claim that he said that they lied. And then when he brought up the tweet saying that they lied, all that is just reframing of a statement. That doesn't prove that they lied. I'm still waiting on a lie, right? Haven't even
So
heard that at
they
all.
can I just clarify and ask real quick?
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
once
Was
you
in
go,
the
what give your clarification, but then I do have to move on because Wick does have to go pretty quickly. So
I got
wanna,
5 minutes.
yeah, go ahead.
absolutely understand. Love you, by the way, Wick. But
I love it too.
specifically regarding like the
Gross.
cases of like Renee Good and Alex Preddy, they blatantly lied about the situations that led to them dying. So I
Okay, can
think
you
that that
prove?
kind
Can
of
you?
loses.
When you
Sure.
say that, you're expecting me to just buy this empty assertion when you say that they
No,
just lied. So you'll have to
we're the
demonstrate it,
car
which will be
stuck
a
in
whole
ice.
different debate. So Renee Good did hit the officer with a car. Was that not
I'm not
correct?
asking about that. Were the cars stuck in ice?
No, it wasn't stuck. It moved and hit him, so which proves that wasn't
No, I'm not
stuck.
talking about her
No,
car.
no,
I'm
no,
talking about their cars. Were they stuck in snow?
Christy Nome said that the DHS ICE officers' cars were stuck in ice, and that the first officer who shot, that the claim was that they were trying to get his car out of the ice.
What does that have to do with Renee Good in this whole lying
It's
about?
That's a
whether or not
blatant
they were
lie about the
lying about
situation
the
that led.
case. I will say real quick,
Sorry, Tom.
it does seem, if you watch another angle of the video, it does seem as though before they pull up, there is another ICE vehicle that is like 3 cars down that does look like it may be stuck in ice. There's the 4-minute video that
even
comes
if
from
that
somebody's back
happened,
porch camera.
even if that happened, and then somebody does correct their statement down the line, to me that doesn't demonstrably
didn't.
prove that they were maliciously lying. There was malice. Do you understand that people
They
can correct
didn't
their
correct
statements
it.
afterwards? No, you're just telling
Absolutely,
me you
but they
did.
haven't corrected it.
Hold on real quick. You're just asking me to just buy these empty assertions you're giving me right now when they say they haven't even corrected it because
Yeah,
your fists are
we don't
flying.
have a way to
I
like
can
kind
understand
of
that too.
prove this right now, but I appreciate you coming on, Fog. Thank you for
All right, no
asking the
problem. Love you
question.
guys. Bye.
Sorry that
No
we're in
idea what that was about.
a bit of a hurry here, but
Yeah, quick as you can. Quick as you can.
all
I'll try to
right.
get through all the ones you got.
Aaron M. Sound, $10 if someone sends ice or they just show up at Marte's house. They force their way into the house just without a judicial warrant because he's brown and we don't know if he's a citizen. Would he be okay with that, or is that illegal because it's his house?
I would actually be fine with that because the law would be on my side, just like Renee Good. If she said, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to comply," she can. Her fight was with the court, not with the law enforcement. Then, so it actually be practicing my rights if I was to have this fight in court instead of fighting law enforcement and trying to be judge and jury with a 3,000-pound weapon.
All right. I'm trying to find
We got
one
2
that
minutes.
is
The
for
lawsuit
Whick.
would be grandiose, by the way, too.
Let's see.
Hey, Wick, what is that phallic-shaped object on your shelf right there?
It doesn't look like any
Just-
of the questions are specifically
Just
for
okay, good.
for
I'm
Whick.
just curious. Sorry.
So I was I will if Wick you need to head out, so I'll let you go ahead and go, and we'll let Marte answer some of these questions if he wants to stay and answer.
Okay.
But Wick, one more time, if you want to shout your channel out, tell everybody where they can find you.
Sure. Whick TV, you can find me at YouTube, Whick-TV. You can find me on Twitch at Whick TV. Thanks for being here. Or well, I guess thanks for hosting me. And I'll see you guys later, okay? Bye-bye.
Appreciate you coming on, man. Have a good one.
Bye.
Later. All right. Let me try to switch my screen back. Okay. All right. Let's see. The Trib for another $10 said, "For all, yes, you too, Tom. Is debate useful if both parties are honest? One of two parties are honest. Neither is honest. I think that first two can be useful. Luckily, the libs are honest, and the third rarely happens." Okay, so do you think that debate is useful if both parties are not honest?
I think debate can still be useful if both parties aren't honest, and I'll give you a reason why. Because although both parties can lie and say all these other things, the person that's at home, which is the beauty of this, like let's say me and Wick are saying certain things, the perception of this and the burden is to prove honesty on our side. And if we're unable to do that, the audience members are now entertained, and not to mention that, but more informed of the lies that we're espousing because they have keyboards at their fingertip where they can filter out all the lies themselves and do the homework at home and debunk us in real time outside of this.
Yeah, I mean, you said the question was for me as well. I agree. Like, yes, I think even if somebody's being dishonest, generally, it's good to kind of demonstrate that in the debate so that it makes your side a bit, look a bit better. But thank you for the donation, Trib. We got another $20 from Aaron M. Sound. He said, "Does Marte recognize that the sheriff, DA, and AG all have... DA and AG have all cleared Preddy from being termed violent due to carrying a gun? Does he recognize the LE in the state doesn't agree with him? How does he rectify the law not agreeing?"
Well, to me, I think that even if the law doesn't agree, I mean, that wouldn't be a law thing. I think that would just be a perception issue. I would agree that two people in the same agencies can disagree with the perception, but the outcome can be consistent. Meaning, like, let's say he's cleared. Doesn't mean that we can't perceptually agree that there was a violent altercation on one end. Doesn't change the outcome and the circumstance that somebody was cleared.
I think what he's saying is that if somebody's, like, the law says that there's violence and you can use self-defense if there is violence towards you or somebody else around you, that if in this case they say that he wasn't violent under the way that the law would define violence, would that make a difference to you?
I mean, so this would actually be a longer answer, and I don't have time to answer this, but I'm trying to give you a quick answer. I suppose that would change the subtleties, but in the end of this, there's a use of force board meeting that does happen to where they do all this internally and figure this out. And if he does get cleared, perceptually, we can still say it's a violent arrest, even though the outcome they're saying that it wasn't violent. Two things can be true, I think.
Okay. Sorry, I did see there was a question for Wick from Trib for $5. He said, for Wick in 2028, when we win, do you think that will remove MAGA from contention ever again, or do you think MAGA is here to stay in leadership on the right? Sorry, I didn't see that before he left. That's my fault, Trib. Trip had another question for Marte. He said, are you fighting this hard for MAGA because of your past? Like, why do you think these people will accept you? Stop that BS. Just be honest.
So I served my time in the department for 13 years, law enforcement. I came from nothing and poverty. And the reason why I had a lot of poverty in my neighborhood is because there was a lot of people who were being criminals and they were offending greatly. And I wish I had more protection at the time. And I think that if I had more protection at the time, I think that I wouldn't have seen examples for why I would have had to be a protector myself. So the reason why I do this may have been anecdotal, but I think overwhelmingly deportations of criminals who are touchers of minors, we'll just call it that, and more is a good. I think that's good. That's the reason why I'm doing this. Morality as well too. I'm a Christian as well too. We should have borders and enforce them.
And I guess the last one is from Owlishness for $5 to Wick. They said, why is this guy asking for reliable sources when his standard for sources is I made it the fuck up and conspiracy theories from Facebook?
So when he says Facebook, I don't know anybody that brought up Facebook. Not my end. Even Wick's end, he didn't bring up Facebook either. So that's just asserting the claim that where we got our source from was from Facebook. Nobody ever brought that up in this whole argument, so I don't understand that.
I think the original article that was talked about saying that he Preddy was fired from his job and that he was like that he was I forget what the term was that they used, but that he was being erratic and things like that. That was something that came from.
I had a link, but here's the thing, though. He's asserting that it's from Facebook. The link that I had wasn't from Facebook. I think 50% of the stuff on my computer was deleted in the process of me.
From my understanding, is that was where it started. I think even some of the fact checks said that it had started on Facebook, which is why even like Facebook apparently had to come out themselves to do a fact check on it as well. But all right, that's all I got. Appreciate you coming on, Marte, and let everybody know again where they can find you.
You guys can find me. I'm the host of On the Edge. We'll be live and in effect. I have another debate with First Amender that blacks should pay whites reparations this Wednesday. And then on Monday, I have 3 celebrity guests with my co-host, Cool Vic, on Woke Autopsy, where you guys can find me on YouTube and on Twitter, Mighty Marte as well too. But yeah, it's been fun. Thank you for having me on the panel, and I appreciate it a lot, Tom.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on, man.